When the Dallas Cowboys got to St. Louis last week, they were unbeaten, but they got behind early. They finally managed to tie it on that touchdown pass from Danny White to Tony Dorsett. But the Cardinals, with the veteran Jim Hart at the controls, experimented with a new wide receiver, ex-defensive back Roy Green. And that's an example of what he can do. And the Cardinals won it 20-17. And Jim Hannafin, the Cardinal coach, and his staff had perhaps the biggest upset of this year. In the meantime, in Washington, the 49ers, with a very young but very talented secondary, forced turnovers. And they beat the Redskins 30-17. The 49er offense is led by number 16, Joe Montana. And he has two very talented wide receivers. Here is one, number 88, Fred Solomon, who's found a home in San Francisco. The other one is number 87, Dwight Clark, third-year man from Clemson. And those two will test the young Dallas secondary today. San Francisco against Dallas.
Today, the Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Candlestick Park is sold out for the meeting between the Cowboys and the 49ers on, well, I guess just about a perfect day on any part of the country, in any part of the country. And good afternoon from San Francisco. I'm Pat Summerall with John Madden. We had a very interesting visit yesterday with both the coaches of the Cowboys and the 49ers. First, what Bill Walsh said, John, about how to defeat Dallas.
Well, of course, we know that the 49ers like to pass, and of course, Bill says that they want to throw the ball. He said, but it's not really his wide receivers against that Cowboy secondary. He said, that's easy to say, but hard to do. So what you have to do is get that front line block, especially Randy White. He said, that's the key. If they can handle Randy White, then they can throw the ball.
Whoever plays Dallas, particularly this year, 1981, has to be concerned about number 33, Tony Dorsett. 49ers, no exception.
No, and Bill Walsh says we have to stop Dorsett, but for a different reason. He wants the Cowboys to be in a shotgun. He wants to see that because he has Fred Dean, who he just acquired from San Diego, who's a great pass rusher. And Fred Dean will come in on passing downs, and Bill Walsh said he'd love to see him in the game a lot today. So let's kick it off and find out what's going to happen.
And, John, we expect a lot of fireworks at Candlestick today. That is Raphael Septien. Remember, the Cowboys humiliated San Francisco last year by the score of 59-14. Septien will kick off. Famous Amos Lawrence is one of the deep men. The other is Mike Wilson. That is Lawrence. Number 20, the speedster rookie from North Carolina, fumble. Scramble. Not sure yet. Dallas saying they've got it. Bob Brunig. And the other bunch standing around. Remember last week in St. Louis, the Cowboys fumbled the opening kickoff, and St. Louis went in a hurry. Now the stack is still there, and we're not sure.
Look at that pile in there. Those officials have to dive in and get in the middle of that to see who's on the bottom with the ball. They still don't know. Look at that one official. He was right in there with his nose to the ground. They love it. I bet that's Pat Harder. Yep, 49er ball.
And that ball could have changed hands 5 or 6 times down the bottom of that pile. 49ers have it, however. Here comes the replay.
Now watch this. They have a pretty good start. They have the wedge. See, he just started to switch the ball. Right after he got it switched to the right arm, he got hit from that side. They were lucky to get this ball back. Watch it. There's Septien in there. Someone comes in and makes a good block.
That's Mike Wilson, who was back there with Lawrence, who comes up to make the recovery. 49er ball, their own 39. First offensive series of this game from San Francisco. The 49ers think they can move against Dallas. That's Joe Montana, the NFC's #1 rated quarterback. The runners are Ricky Patton and Earl Cooper. Fakes to Cooper. Outside Patton. Just a few, but enough to make you think already.
That's right, and of course they want to do that on first down like everyone else against the Cowboys.
49ers offensive machine has Montana at quarterback. Patton and Cooper, as we mentioned, the runners. Wide receivers, and very good they are, Freddie Solomon and Dwight Clark. The offensive line, and they have their work cut out for them, John.
Especially that left guard, John Ayers, against Randy White. Bill Walsh feels that's the biggest key to this game.
That was Solomon in motion, and this is Cooper moving to his left. That's D.D. Lewis out there trying to take up the blockers and make the tackle, but Cooper swirls upfield for a 49er first down, or very nearly. Dennis Thurman made the tackle. That's the Dallas defensive line, and there may not be a better one.
No, they say that Ed Jones is having his best year. John Dutton in there, of course. Randy White, the all-pro, all-everything, and that's the work that they have to do today.
The linebackers, Brown, Brunig, Dede Lewis. The secondary, they're young. Charlie Waters, the key man. Downs, Thurman, and Walls, the youngsters. First down, 49ers. Dallas, or the 49er 48, excuse me. Johnny Davis now at fullback. Montana fakes, throws, has a man open. That's Solomon. Down the sideline, another 49er first down. Inside the Dallas 30 to the 28. Everson Walls knocked him out of bounds. Good fake by Montana.
Well, they said that they were going to work on that secondary, and they had to get the line block. Now, this is one way to do it. See, they get in short yardage. They go a play fake, I formation, both backs to the right. Out of a short yardage offense, Freddie Solomon gets out to the left corner.
Solomon, in a trade from Miami, has really blossomed here. Not that he wasn't good at Miami. Handoff Johnny Davis, who was just acquired a couple of weeks ago in a trade with Tampa. Dede Lewis made the tackle.
It was interesting about Johnny Davis. They got him from Tampa as a blocker, but he's really been running well, and they said that's a big bonus. They said we thought we traded for a blocker and we get a runner.
And they take a little pressure off Earl Cooper with that. Ray Wersching over loosening up.
He's been out a month, Ray Wersching. He just activated him today, right?
Second down, 49ers. Montana back. Good protection. Nice chase out of the pocket. Now he has Ricky Patton down the sideline, and he was open. The pressure from Ed Jones made him hurry just a bit.
That's an example, Pat, of why Bill Walsh likes Joe Montana and why he traded Steve DeBerg. You see, he got a little rush, and he could just move a couple steps and still get the ball off. And he says with his offensive line and his team, he has to have that type of quarterback.
So it'll be third down, San Francisco now. They need 7. The line of scrimmage at 25. Paul Hofer and Johnny Davis will be the runners or the pass receivers, as the case might present itself for San Francisco. Montana, the quarterback, on third down and 7. Some time, some receivers. Charlie Young, the tight end, open. Down to the 13. Excuse me, John. Let's welcome Philadelphia, New Orleans. That's the final score. Those of you who watched Philadelphia continue unbeaten and beat New Orleans 31-14. Welcome to Candlestick Park in San Francisco. No score here. Opening minutes of this football game with San Francisco on the move.
That Philadelphia's a class team, aren't they? They find a way to win every time out. Injuries, nothing seems to bother them.
They just squeeze you a little bit. Solomon in motion, and Montana drops. First down. Again, it's the tight end, Charlie Young, and he's down at the 5. About 2 yards shy of a first down. Charlie Waters and Mike Downs took him down.
Well, one of the things that we were just talking about as this game starts here, the pass protection, controlling the line of scrimmage, and I'll say that in each pass that the 49ers have done that they're getting excellent pass protection. We can watch the pass protection right here. Now watch the airs on Randy White. He kept Randy White right on the line, and that's what makes this possible.
The center had nobody to block on second down. It's Hofer. Very nearly a first. Guy Brown made the stop.
Now that's a surprise that they run Paul Hofer. We see number 36 getting up there. He's talking to the umpire. Geez, look at that. The third week in a row that the Raiders have been shut out.
We'll see them next week against Tampa Bay, or across the bay here in Oakland. And, John, they've got obvious problems.
They sure do. But anyway, Hofer will usually come in on passing downs, and he's just coming off that. He was injured a year ago this week against the Cowboys.
Up until that point, he was perhaps their most reliable player. It's third and very short for the 49ers on the Dallas 3.5. Hurling over the top is Paul Hofer. That'll be a first down, not a touchdown. Randy White upended him.
Watch Paul Hofer on this. Here's one of the, coaches talk about 110%er. That's the kind Paul Hofer is. You see that? He just dives and takes off. He has no regard for his body.
And Hofer comes out.
Listen to the fans. They love Paul Hofer here in San Francisco.
Walt Easley and Johnny Davis, both of whom weigh about 240 pounds the runner. That's Davis. He's hit right at the goal line, does not get in.
Of course, this is one of the other reasons that the 49ers acquired Johnny Davis is their fullback, Earl Cooper, is really not a running type fullback. And, the big bruiser inside, and they wanted one like that. And that's what Johnny Davis is. Tom Landry looked like he was thinking, geez, what's happening to this football team?
Especially in the first quarter. It happened last week in St. Louis. Second and goal for the 49ers. Solomon in motion. Here's Montana looking. Solomon, touchdown.
'49er fans are happy on that one. They started going inside with the run, and then Joe Montana said, let's fake one in there. I'll come out on a quarterback bootleg and find Freddie Solomon in the end zone.
Ray Wersching and Montana will hold. That is something we didn't expect. Wersching's been hurt. He's used to Montana. And it shows 7-0 San Francisco as you look. Referee Jim Tunney.
Here it is again. Now watch the fakes. He fakes the trap into the middle left, rolls out, and that's an option bootleg. Finds Solomon in the end zone.
7-0.
Did you get a countdown on that? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
You hear me?
Hello?
John didn't hear the countdown that time.
I still don't hear them now. Hello? Are they
Talk
talking
to John.
you?
Yeah, I can hear.
I can't hear them.
John can't hear you at all.
Hello?
You hear him okay?
Yeah, you better...
Are you hearing anything on your headset?
No, I can hear myself and I can hear you.
He can hear me and he can hear himself, but not anybody from the truck.
Hello, can you hear me now? Or can you talk? Just talk to me. Okay, fine. Now, I hear you. I didn't get that countdown. Yeah.
At Summerall with John Madden at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The 49ers break on top. They lead Dallas 7-0. Wersching to kick off. That is James Jones. No. That is Ron Fellows. Fellows to about the 28.
Tell you, he tripped over his own man. He tripped over James Jones on that one. He had a pretty good return going there.
How about that contest? We're still not sure. Atlanta leads 35-34. Reports earlier were that Pat Hayden, the Ram quarterback, had fractured his ankle, but that's not confirmed as yet. That's a game, of course, they're watching very carefully here in San Francisco. Here's Dallas, first possession. We'll check the offensive line in just a second. Danny White, the quarterback. Ron Springs, Tony Dorsett behind him. Pitch to Dorsett. 49ers swarm as Dorsett gets just outside the 30. Willie Harper led the defensive charge.
Again, this is what Bill Walsh said they had to do is stop Dorsett, stop first down, so that they can get him in those passing and long yardage down.
Here's the Dallas offense. Danny White, of course, the quarterback. Dorsett and Springs. And Butch Johnson and Drew Pearson, the wide receivers. The offensive line, and it's a good one. Donovan, Scott, Shaw starting at center again. Rafferty back to guard. Cooper and Billy Joe Dupree, the tight end. Second down, Dallas. White bounces out of the hands of Dupree. Craig Puki, P-U-K-I, the nearest San Francisco defender.
And now we'll see Fred Dean for the first time, and this is what these 49er fans are cheering about. They just got him in a trade from San Diego. There he is, and they want to take a look. I'll tell you, he's an excellent pass rusher.
Number 74. That was a bargain to get him.
Second-round draft choice.
Here's Danny White, and here is that shotgun. So this is something that Bill Walsh wanted to force. Dorsett won't run with it now. Here's White looking, and White loses the football. Down he goes. Hit from behind. 49ers obviously saying, we got it.
Dallas is saying they have it. That's another one of those things where that official has to dive in on that pile. He found it, and he says that Dallas has it. Let's watch it again now. We'll see the pass rush. See, it's a stunt over there on the left side. It was a cross. And now we see them coming right up there, pillars right up the middle. And he dropped the ball right there, and he got it underneath.
That was Lawrence Pillars who got an arm on Danny White and knocked the ball out of his hand. Rafferty made the recovery. And White will go back to kick.
That was Stuckey on the sideline. He was really upset. He looked like he felt he had it.
There's White, and there's always wind here. It's difficult to tell the direction. Great kick. Solomon was the 49er back trying to field things, and the 49ers will take over. They already lead 7-0. We have 10 minutes, 1 second left to play first quarter after that 46-yard punt by Danny White.
Yeah.
Well, they tell me in the booth that it might be a broken ankle. Well, how am I going to clear it up? You know, I'm getting two different stories. I did say that we'll have to check, and we will check. Did Sandy? Did you see the pictures that are on the sideline where Hayden was, they carried him off? Yeah, we saw that. That's the situation in Atlanta. 1:59 left to play. Atlanta leading by 1, 35-34. 49ers have the ball at Candlestick Park with 10:01 left to play. They lead 7-0. Solomon winds up with the football wide open. Is Dwight Clark. Walls made the tackle. Solomon, you'll remember, was a quarterback in college.
That's right, and we saw him working as a quarterback yesterday. He's the third quarterback. We knew that he was going to throw this pass early in the game, and it's off a reverse. See, they fake the sweep. He hands the sweep, hands it back to Solomon. He comes over here to the right, finds Clark downfield, and throws that run pass. Got there just in time. Everson Walls hadn't seen that one before, Pat.
Clark was wide open for a long time. First down, San Francisco. Johnny Davis bangs inside the 40 to about the 39. Brunig on the tackle.
You know, one thing, the 49ers, of course, have scored first here. You know, every game that the Cowboys have won this year, they've scored first. The game that they didn't last week against St. Louis, they lost.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the 49ers and the National Football League is prohibited. 49ers second down inside the Dallas 40. This is Ricky Patton looking for someplace to go, taken down by Bruce Thornton, number 77, on top of that pile.
Looks like Ricky Patton left his guard. He had his left guard, John Ayers, was pulling out there, and Patton cut inside. He may have gotten a little more ground had he stayed with Ayers.
The NFC rankings, the 49er offense, 7th in rushing, 3rd in passing, total 4th. Cowboys 2nd in rushing, 14th on pass defense, 2nd against the rush. It's 3rd down here. They need 4 at the 37. Montana drops. Cowboys have the blitz on. It's Waters. Man wide open. Solomon at about the 10. First down, San Francisco. They look good.
They did. And they're getting deep. Last year in their passing game, they were throwing a lot of dump-offs. That one was a 27-yard reception. But now watch this again. Here's why Joe Montana is a quarterback. Watch. The safety blitz, they pick off Waters. He gets to the outside, has time, and when Freddie Solomon has time, he will end up wide open. Look at that. He tried to tight rope, couldn't keep that right foot in.
49ers have it right at the 10-yard line, 1st and goal. They already lead 7-0. Davis barrels down inside the 5-yard line to about the 3, right at Randy White. Mike Downs made the tackle.
I'll tell you, the 49ers are really pulling everything out of their playbook, haven't they? They started to play passes, the fullback run, and watch this, big Johnny Davis. This is why they got him from Tampa. They want him to run that thing right up the middle, a little trap there. Geez, he just lost his feet. That could have been a touchdown. That was very close.
Very good execution by the guard and the center. Ayers pulling. 2nd down at the 4. Montana 6 out of 7. Paul Hofer into the end zone for San Francisco. It's 13-0 49ers.
Look at Tom Landry. He's talking to his defensive coaches over there, and he's saying, we have to get back in this and control this. Now watch Paul Hofer. Starts up the middle, little counter. They get Too Tall Jones to the inside. That was a great block by Keith Fawnhorst. And then Paul Hofer was able to take it to the outside and into the end zone. But geez, did Fawnhorst do a job on Too Tall Jones?
Did he ever? Montana holding. Rushing. 49ers lead it 14-0. Boy, they're rolling.
That's it. Look at Too Tall come to the inside. Hofer's able to bounce out, walk it into the end zone.
Did you hear the count there?
Yeah, but it was muffled. Jeez. Do you have a lot of crowd noise in here too? Hey, Sandy, is there a lot of crowd noise in the mix, or is it just in our headset? Yeah, there really is. And then I'm getting a hum and a bump, bump, bump in one of my ears, too.
He's not giving me any warning on scores.
What?
He's not warning me on scores, but if we ever get back to this.
Okay.
12, I guess.
How much time left?
15.
Give that to me if we get that thing done. Why don't you just leave it with me because it's over. Atlanta 35, Los Angeles 34, but that is about to change, I have a feeling.
That's a real barn burner. They've been going up and down that field all day down there in Atlanta.
James Jones back deep for Dallas. Wershing will kick off. The Rams are at the Atlanta 10, by the way. Here's Jones. Jones found a little room, got to about the 29. There's the last 49er scoring drive. 6 plays, 68 yards. Took them 2 minutes, 54 seconds. And Hofer put it in the end zone.
And the Cowboys are down 14-0, and they really haven't even gotten warmed up yet. They've had, 3 plays?
That's all.
Yep, Danny White saying, okay, guys, let's get it going now. Let's get something going here. All we need is some first downs to get going.
Butch Johnson comes out wide to the left. Drew Pearson out wide to the right. The runners are still Springs and Dorsett. Dorsett goes back deep in the eye. Here's Ron Springs. He got only 2 or 3. Archie Reese, who plays over the center, made the tackle. Really haven't had a chance to run down the 49er defense. They've had the ball so much.
That's right. They were only in there 3 plays, and again, they use the 3-man line on the running downs, and then they want to get into that 4-man line as much as they can.
2nd and 6 from the 32 for the Cowboys, trailing 14-0. Still in the first quarter. Dorsett strolls back to that deep position in the eye. 49ers in a 3-man front. Dorsett straight ahead. Hurls himself for a couple. Keena Turner made the tackle. 49ers, John, have good linebacking.
They really do, and they say that Keena Turner is one of the best athletes on this squad. He plays a right linebacker. He's weak side most of the time. He's one that stays in there on passing downs, too. They say that he can do it all.
33, the leading rusher in the NFL. Here is one of the keys to this year's 49er success. The ex-Los Angeles Ram, the hacksaw Jack Reynolds.
Not only on the field, but definitely off the field.
3rd down, 5. Dallas shotgun formation. Shaw, the center, good snap. Dean on the pass rush. Pearson hit hard by Saladin Martin, and Dallas will have to kick it again.
That last play was interesting, Pat, as we watch this again. And we see from the left side, Fred Dean was rushing from the left of the screen, and watch Tony Dorsett stays in there. The respect that they have for Fred Dean, they not only double him, but that keeps Dorsett in the backfield and not going out for a pass.
There is number 29, Saladin Martin. They're very happy to have him here in the Bay Area. Low snap to White. Looks off an end-over-ender. 49ers wait for it to bounce, let it roll. It goes to the 34, just inside the 35, make it, where San Francisco will take over. An emotional high at the moment after only a 32-yard punt by Danny White.
Sandy? Somewhere in here you ought to give us the shot of Walsh giving the play to Guy Benjamin, and not. I mean, of course, he already has the play for this play, so it'd be on the second.
How much time left? They'll tell us, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Los Angeles leading there, San Francisco leading here, Brent, 14-0, and looking as good as we've seen any team all year, John, I think.
Right, and the Cowboys, they haven't figured out if they're as good as they were 3 weeks ago as New England or as bad as they've been the last 3 weeks.
Ricky Patton and Earl Cooper, the runners. 49ers fumble to get it back. A mix-up between Cooper and Montana.
One thing they didn't do anything. You were saying who was going to blame anything, but watch it again. Now watch them. They just ran into each other. It looked like Montana thought Cooper was going to go deeper, and he ran right into him. That's kind of tough to get to a hole going through the quarterback.
It'll be second down and 15 from the 30. San Francisco leading Dallas 14-0. Trap to Patton. Patton is taken down very quickly by Randy White and Bruce Thornton, who's playing today instead of Harvey Martin at defensive right end.
You know, I think that Ernie Stautner, the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, had a little talk with that defense and said, look, now 14 points, that's enough. Let's put the blanket on these guys for a while.
Ricky Patton comes out. It'll be Hofer, one of the running backs, and Cooper the other. Montana in the passing situation, and of course Dallas likes to blitz in this situation. Except this time they don't. Montana gets it out to Hofer. Hofer just barely shy of a first down. Tackled by Anthony Dickerson. There's Harvey Martin over on the sideline.
I was just going to ask, I wonder if Harvey's injured or something, because as you said, Thornton was in there. He doesn't look like it. Looks like he's ready to go.
The word from Atlanta is that Nolan Cromwell has just intercepted Bartkowski. And it looks like the Rams will hang on in that thriller, 37-35. Jim Miller, the 49er punter, is unique. He resembles Tony Franklin in some ways in Philadelphia. Barefoot kicker, 49ers with not enough people on the field. Ron Fellows back deep, the barefoot punter. It'll be a tough kick to handle. Fellows down at the 3.
But Miller, he was happy with that one. You know, but the Cowboys, it seems like when it rains, it pours. They just can't get anything going properly. The 49ers just activated Bill Ring, and he was the fellow that got down there to make the play.
There is Montana on the phone to the press box, and they can't have too much to say in a negative fashion about what he's done so far. It's been terrific. First down, Dallas at the 3. 55-yard punt. And sort of back down the Fellows. Jets beat New England 28-24. That's the final.
Tom Landry was looking at that play chart to see if he could find something to get out of the hole here.
Dorsett tackled almost for a safety. Almost. 49ers think they have it. I haven't seen a signal as yet.
There's no signal, but it looks like his knees did go down inside that end zone. Nope. The officials are saying no. They put it about on the 1-inch line, it looks like.
Dorsett did a heck of a job just to get it out of there.
You know, of course, again, coming out, it's like going in. You have to get the ball over the line. You see right there? No, he's out. See, he has the ball just out over the line, I think.
Very close. That is the final score, 37-35. Those of you who watched that Ram victory at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the 49ers have overwhelmed Dallas so far. They lead 14-0. This is Pat Summerall with John Madden as Danny White throws outside. Drew Pearson had it and dropped it, and if he had hung on, he had a lot of places to go.
This is going to be interesting here, Pat, whether they rule that a reception and a fumble or an incomplete pass. Because I think if it was a fumble, that could be the 49ers ball down there. It is.
They say he caught it. Last year it would not have been a catch. This year it is, and the 49ers have it. Rodney Lott picked it up.
Watch this now. He's coming out. He just wants to get the ball out of there. He had pressure right in his face. Pearson does catch it. Look, he does have it. As he started to run, the ball came out behind him in his left arm.
And the official's foot kept it from going out of bounds.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
That's right. Watch the official now, right there in the line. It hit his right foot and stayed in bounds so the 49ers could recover it. There's rookie number 1 draft choice, number 42, Ronnie Lott, and there's Tom Landry. And he said, what in the heck is happening?
We still have 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in the first quarter at Candlestick. Those of you who, again, watched Los Angeles defeat Atlanta in the closing seconds, 37-35. Here at Candlestick, Pat Summerall with John Madden. And the 49ers lead Dallas 14-0, and they're going for more. Montana to Solomon. Too high, and wisely so.
That was good coverage there by Everson Walls, Pat. You know, they had him man-to-man on Freddie Solomon in the end zone, and Everson Walls had him covered, and there was nothing that Montana could do. So on first down, he did the smart thing, just throw it out of bounds and play another one.
Montana hit Solomon for the first 49er touchdown. That's what he's done so far. And Paul Hofer scored the second one. 49ers leading 14-0. Here is Ricky Patton. And Dallas forces him out of bounds, but he's still got some yards.
He was upset because he knew had he been able to get that thing turned that he would have had a shot to dive at the end zone, but he just couldn't. As we'll watch it again, watch, it's coming right here towards us. He just can't get it turned. You see, they get up, see Guy Brown in there, forces him deep where he can't get turned upfield before he gets out of bounds. He would have liked to have one more yard so they could step and then take a dive in that end zone.
Good block out front by the 49ers offensive right guard, Randy Cross. Third down, 49ers. Third and goal. Earl Cooper and Paul Hofer, the backs, will seem to indicate he's going to throw. Montana rolling. Montana just shy of it.
Oh, that's one of those spot things, Pat. They aren't going to give him that touchdown, but that was awfully close. Montana, you know, being a quarterback, they don't want to dive and hurdle. Now, here's a big play for the 49ers. 14-0. See, here's the option. It was an option pass or run. He sees the thing. Now, watch right here. He doesn't want to dive in. He wants to get down. Now, again, that ball has to get across the goal line. The ball has to break the plane, and it didn't look like it did from here.
Indeed, I think you're right. Tom Landry, again, bewildered by what's going on. 49ers going for it on fourth down. Montana, the quarterback. He has the big horses in there. 49ers signaling touchdown, and it is. Johnny Davis got it in.
Yeah, we talked earlier, and that's the reason that the 49ers acquired Johnny Davis, is so that he could block at short yardage. And look at Tom Landry. He is upset. Johnny Davis did the job that they wanted from him. Watch it here. Now, the big thing down here in the goal line, the Cowboys have to stay low. You see, everyone's down there low. They try and dive over the top to get him, but Johnny Davis is just too strong.
He's bigger than most of the Dallas linebackers.
Watch that. They just bounce off. He keeps the momentum going, and again, the ball has to break the plane.
Wershing makes it San Francisco 49ers 21, Dallas nothing. We have a minute and 14 seconds still left in the first quarter.
That's big Keith Fawnhorse, number 71 there. He's blocking against Too Tall Jones today. He looks like he's ready to play, doesn't he?
A staggering situation, really. What's happening at Candlestick Park? For an update on what's happening elsewhere, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York. Nothing here in San Francisco, Brent. We haven't even had a chance so far to say who the officials are. That's San Francisco's scoring drive right there. They got it at the 6. They got in on fourth down. Johnny Davis scored the touch. The referee today is Jim Chuney. The umpire, Pat Harder. The head linesman is Sid Seaman. Line judge Dick McKenzie. The back judge is Pat Knight. Side judge Gil Mace. And the field judge is Johnny Greer. They've been busy already. John, we've gotten some word from the Dallas bench that Harvey Martin has a Charlie horse, and that's why Bruce Norton is playing instead of him. That's Wershing's kickoff, and that's James Jones who takes it inside the 10 or about the 8. Jones barrels out to the 35, almost broke it. Mike Wilson made the tackle, just tripped him up. 29-yard return by James Jones. And Dallas, with only their third offensive series, they only had the ball 6 plays so far in the entire first quarter. Like the quarterback, look at the time of possession.
Well, you know, with the down 3 touchdowns, of course, there's plenty of time. But they don't have to think in terms of touchdowns yet, but first downs. They have to get some first downs first.
Which they don't have any yet. Springs and Dorsett. Fake to Dorsett. White out of time. And intercepted by Lott. The 49ers' first draft choice picks up Danny White. And the Niners going for more and more.
I'll tell you, he's some kind of athlete, that Ronnie Lott. He's a special player, and it was a great choice by the 49ers when they picked him in the first round from USC. Watch him here. They start in motion. You see, we see Pearson there. He gets bumped. It's a zone defense. They're all back there in the zone, just zoning the area. Now the ball's going to be thrown, and it goes right by him to Ronnie Lott.
Give Jack Reynolds an assist on that one, because that's why White couldn't find him. First down 49ers, and they go for more. Montana has Solomon. First down at the 16. Walls knocked him out of bounds. There's that first-round draft choice, Ronnie Lott.
I'll tell you, and they say he's a real class player, too. You know, I mean, he's a great player, and he's a class person. You know, in 74 games, the 49ers hadn't had a defensive touchdown, and they've got 3 touchdowns in the last week. Plus, they've set up one already today, and maybe another one here.
That makes it a little bit easier. 49 seconds left in the first quarter. San Francisco leading 21-0 and on the move again. Davis. Down to about the 10.5, maybe the 9. Guy Brown tripped him up.
Watch your right guard here. Watch cross here. You see, it's a cross block. And again, they just get up. He comes up on Brunig, and here comes Davis right in behind. Now watch the right guard there cross. He steps right around the center. He gets on Brunig, and that lets Davis get by and pick up the 5 yards.
So it'll be second down, San Francisco. They put it at the 11. Montana has Solomon in motion, and he'll look for him. And does. Everson Walls on the tackle. Montana hits Solomon very near a first down. Cincinnati continues to play well. Fourth quarter score 34-19 there. And here at Candlestick, that's the end of the first quarter. And believe it or not, the score is 49ers 21-0 over Dallas.
What's that? Oh, yeah. No, they aren't out of it, but they're not out of it. They haven't gotten started yet.
Doesn't look like they're going to.
Oh. It's an unsettling type thing. You don't expect the game to start like this. This could very well be 20.
Yeah. Certainly 24 now.
Well, they got the first down. They were measuring that. Anyway, so it is first down. First down. Right.
Francisco 21, first and goal at the 5. They lead Dallas 21-0. First play of the second quarter coming up. Inside handoff to Johnny Davis. Stopped by Bruce Thornton, but he got a couple.
You know, Pat, today's the first sellout that the 49ers have had this year, and these fans are getting their money's worth, aren't they?
It was worth coming.
Beautiful day, and their team ahead 21-0 and driving for another one.
Incidentally, John, that 21 points by San Francisco in the first quarter ties an all-time record against Dallas. They were set the first year they came into the league, and Cleveland did it. 1960 that goes to. Here's Hofer. Hofer very nearly got in, just shy of the touchdown. Is Paul Hofer, stopped by D.D. Lewis this time. It'll be third down at the 1, perhaps inside the 1.
This is really a shock, isn't it? 21-0, and they're going for another one here in the first quarter. You know, when we were talking to Bill Walsh yesterday, he really had confidence in. I mean, he had confidence in himself and in his team, and he said, you know, physically we can compete with them now. And they're doing it.
Third down, Montana. Throws outside. Play pass fake. Good fake it was. Dwight Clark, the intended receiver. Lewis out there with him. And they'll go for the field goal. Maybe.
Watch this. They faked the trap here. Now, Benny Barnes, we see him, number 31, coming from the outside. The guard has to get out there. He didn't have a chance, and Montana didn't have time on that one.
Montana has been holding. You know, he's the quarterback. Wershing. Montana will put the ball down at the 8, so it's an 18-yard field goal. Wershing, as we mentioned before, has had a bad hip. And 24-0 San Francisco with 13:34 left in the first half. The 49ers looking like an awesome machine at the moment, and Dallas looking nothing but confused.
Tell you one like that, we talked about the right thing in the opener.
Yeah, sure did we?
Yeah, that's right.
That may turn out to be an understatement.
You have a shot of Stautner, maybe. Well, it's not as good now with them on offense. We ought to wait till they get to defense.
That's Ray Wershing teeing it up for San Francisco, and if you just joined us, they lead Dallas with 13:34 left in the first half by the score of 24-0. Ball blows off the tee, and Wershing will have to go do it again.
It'll be interesting to see how Ray Wershing kicks off. You know, he's been out for the 4 months, and he has the hip injury, and he looks like he's only going to take a couple steps here.
Drives it down in the direction of James Jones, but it's Timmy Newsom who does the fielding. And he slips just inside the 30. You saw that Houston-Seattle score, 35-10 Oilers. Over on the San Francisco bench, Montana and his wide receiver, Clark.
Clark looked like he was standing in line to wait for the telephone. He says, I got something to say, too. I want to catch some passes.
Maybe he's talking to his girlfriend, Miss Universe.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
St. Louis leading the Giants 7-0, second quarter. Cardinals looked good last week.
Very impressive.
Here's White back to throw. Down the middle, Billy Joe Dupree. His first pass completion. Dallas still has not made a first down.
You know, we saw that average on first down, Pat. You know, on the first down, they were only averaging 1 yard. And, of course, that has a lot to do with it. The 49ers have had 10 first downs. Dallas is yet to have their first down.
2nd and 5. A 5-yard pickup as Drew Pearson comes out to the right. And Butch Johnson goes left. Set in Springs, the runner. Dupree in motion. And he sets up on the right side, and White will drop. Takes the draw, trying to throw a screen, does. Springs, what a play by Lott. You'll never see a better defensive play by any defensive player. Linebacker, lineman, defensive back, nowhere.
That was so right. He was the left corner. It's a screen pass. Now, there were 3 men out in front of Lott. See, now watch. They fake the pass. They go out there. Now, watch the 3 men out here. There's 1, there's 2, and he went right between them and got the ball carried before he got started, Ron Springs.
What an impressive athlete he is. You can see why he was their #1 draft choice. It'll be 3rd down now and 7.
And he plays the run well, too. You know, he's not just a pass defender. He's very good against the run.
Make it 3rd and 6. From the shotgun. White steps up, throws. Knocked down by Willie Harper. Tina Turner. Beg your pardon.
That's who we were talking about earlier, who we said was a fine athlete. He's the one linebacker that stays in there against the pass when they go to their nickel. Now look at, this may be one of the problems with the Cowboys this year. Look what they've done on 3rd down efficiency over the years. For example, last year on 3rd down they were 53.5. So far this year they've only been 36.2.
Danny White back to punt again. That's a final score, 21-10. We'll have the Buccaneers next week over in Oakland. Those of you who watched that victory for the Bucs, welcome to Candlestick Park. A high kick by Danny White. And to update you on the score here, you may have to listen a couple of times because it's San Francisco 24, Dallas nothing. We have 11 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the second quarter. 49ers ahead 24-0.
You know what I would like somewhere, though? You know, somewhere a Randy White. Okay, let's just have it.
San Francisco has not beaten Dallas at home since 1967. They're well on their way to changing that.
They had a big one about 1970 or 71, that big playoff game where they were way ahead and Dallas came and beat them in the last few seconds.
Call back to Ron Sellers. First down, 49ers. Clark lined up tight to the left. Montana will throw on first down. Looking for Clark. Now looking for Young. Finding Clark. Too low, incomplete.
There's Ernie Stautner. He's the defensive coordinator. Last night when we asked him, he said, what do you think of the 49ers? He said, dangerous. This looks like what he's still thinking, doesn't it?
He doesn't look much like a prophet, but I guess he is.
See, he's calling the defense now. He's signaling in the defense. The first thing, I think, was the coverage, and the second thing, the front.
Minnesota, San Diego, 7-7, second quarter. Tommy Kramer to Young, tied it up. Cincinnati, 41-19 over Baltimore. Colts having a lot of problems. So are the Cowboys. Intended for Earl Cooper. He had him just a little long. Guy Brown all the way back there with him, and that's what you'd like to have.
Looked like Earl Cooper stumbled on that play a little. Now watch Randy White in here. Here's what Bill Walsh says is the key. Number 54. He says we have to handle him. Now there's John Ayers. He's handling him. He has a little hand in there, a little hold job. But I'll tell you, he is keeping Randy White off of Joe Montana.
Montana looking over to the sideline for the next play to be called. They do it in a little bit different fashion, which we'll talk about in a minute. Coming up at the half, Brenton Irv with scores and highlights of today's games, and there are a lot of them.
They'll have a lot of great highlights today.
Halftime may not be long enough. Third down here and 10 for San Francisco as Montana fires. Mike Wilson, first down 49ers. Steve Wilson took him out of bounds.
You know, I think that this is one thing about Montana. You see the blitz, they have the safety and the linebacker coming up the middle. And again, he's quick enough to do this. He doesn't run with the ball, but quick enough to get outside and find another receiver. I'll tell you, the combination of that, of Montana being able to move a little, and the job that the line is doing is really a big part of this game today.
Perhaps that's the overall key if you look for those things. First and 10, San Francisco. Handoff Hofer. Couple on his individual effort. Stopped by Thornton and Waters. That's the final score. Cincinnati 41-19 over Baltimore. Cincinnati moves up to 4-2. Baltimore drops to 1-5. Second down here and 8 for San Francisco. Line of scrimmage the 45. Earl Cooper and Paul Hofer will operate from behind Montana. 49ers moving the ball almost at will. Young comes over to the left. Montana fakes. Going deep to Clark. Out of bounds. Incomplete. A great catch. Back there with him, Everson Walls.
Maybe that, you know, we saw earlier, we saw Dwight Clark talking on the telephone, you know, saying it's my turn to talk on the phone, and maybe that's the play he was talking about. It was a bootleg. Montana got to the outside. The right foot's in. The left foot, I guess, must have stepped on the line. That's Pat Knight, the official, right there on top of it, so I'll go along with him.
That was very close. Clark comes out.
I had lunch with those officials. I went in their room before the game and took a sandwich and a drink and a soft drink, and didn't ask them for it, but they were kind of nice about it.
I didn't know they ate before the game. Montana looking deep for Wilson. Batted away by Everson Walls, who's back there in good shape this time.
I'll tell you, that shows the confidence that the 49ers have now. They've thrown 2 deep passes in a row, but watch Walls. He's running step for step with Wilson here. He's looking to the inside, and they'll both, now watch his left hand get up there and tip the ball away. That's great coverage.
The barefoot punter from San Francisco, Miller. Cowboys tried to block it, didn't get there. He fell away. Fair catch signal by Dallas, by Ron Fellows, who had some problems earlier. But again, they have to operate way back deep in their own territory. Line of scrimmage will be the 14. And the Cowboys trail 24-0. What's that?
Yeah, okay. Is that right? Huh? Well, yeah, a third down, yeah, right.
90-0. Did he go with it? He did 90-0. Hey, Fred. 90-0. Fred, that's a nice job on that block back. White's coming back.
Pat Summerall at Candlestick Park with John Madden. 49er bench.
That's Bob McKittrick, the offensive line coach. He's talking to his offensive lineman, and he was telling him that's a good job staying with Randy White when we run away from him.
49ers in a 3-man front. Danny White, long count. The handoff is inside to Dorsett. I think the Cowboys have sort of said to themselves, wait a minute, let's don't let things get out of control here. We got plenty of time still.
They do have plenty of time, and they really haven't had good field position yet. They haven't had a good start. Well, the Giants came back and got a field goal.
7-3, St. Louis still leads. We have 9:59 left. Second quarter with San Francisco ahead 24-0. Tony Dorsett has been checked so far.
4 rushes, 5 yards, that's checked. That's more than check.
Second down. 6. Pearson in motion. Inside handoff, Dorsett. He's hit down hard by Craig Pookie and Willie Harper.
You know, I was talking about the Cowboys, you know, that they've started on 28, 28-3, 35-3, and 14. Here's Dorsett, and that was really Harper that came in from the outside and slashed in and got that right knee.
Harper's 59, Pookie's 54. 3rd and 3, and look at this.
They haven't gotten one yet, and that's really been their problem this whole season. Let's see how they do on this one.
Line of scrimmage is the 21. They need 3 for first. Pearson in motion. White will throw. Or try to. Pearson has it. That'll be plenty enough. To about the 37-yard line. That is the first Dallas first down of this contest. Ronnie Lott on the tackle, along with Dwight Hicks.
And Danny White did a lot of that one himself because he did have good pressure. We see the 2 linebackers are blitzing. Now watch from the outside here. He gets the pressure. He had to throw it a little quicker than he wanted to, but he zipped it right in there.
For 88, the first down for Dallas, and they move to their own 37. 1st and 10. Fake to Dorsett. Pitch back. Doug Cosby barrels down into 49er territory to about the 48. Eric Wright made the tackle. But Dallas on the move now.
We're seeing everything today. Here we get Cosby. See again, we see the fake to Dorsett, and it's a little reverse or pitch to Cosby. Remember, he played some fullback in the preseason, and he's running like a fullback there. But that's a tall fullback. He's 6'6".
And about 235.
That's a lot of legs. His mother tried to take a picture of us in the lobby last night. There was Doug and Robert Shaw and myself, and she couldn't get us all in the lens.
First down, Dallas. The 49er 48. Niners are ahead. Pass outside. Springs gets away from one tackle. Cuts back inside. Runs Springs down near the 40. To about the 41 of San Francisco before Stuckey tripped him up.
It was Jack Reynolds out there. He looked like he was right on Springs, and just as Springs catches a ball, Jack's complaint, I think he's saying he was held or tripped. We'll see if we can see it here because once here now, Springs catches. Now we'll see number 64, Jack Reynolds there. He was trying to tackle Rafferty.
Rafferty kicked him in the head because he tried. Second down.
So, I'm sure Jack's still complaining about it. He said, I know they had to do something to me. I was out there, I had him.
He has some opinions. Pitch back to Springs. Springs barrels down for a Dallas first down inside the 30 to the 35, 34 perhaps. It's still 24-0 here at Candlestick. The 49ers leading. Let's go for an update to Brent Musburger. It's 24-0 here at Candlestick Park, Brent. A game so far that the 49ers have controlled entirely. This is Dallas' first movement of all day. First down, Dallas. Line of scrimmage, the San Francisco 34. White. Throw on first if he has time. Does. Springs again. Maybe 2. And a headache. Pookie and Turner.
There's old 64, Jack Reynolds. He was saying I didn't get him last time. I'd like to get a piece of him that time, but he didn't. When we went over to practice yesterday and walked into the office, Jack Reynolds was in running a mimeograph machine. I'll tell you, he does it all, but they say that he's the most studious linebacker that there is. Now watch, here he comes. He tackled Cosby there. He looks for any white jersey to hit.
If ever anybody is looking for a defensive coordinator when he decides to quit this game and go into coaching, if indeed he does, he'd be a dandy. White to Dorsett. Dorsett met in the hole by Stuckey and Ronnie Lott, who came up quickly.
Hey, that Ronnie Lott's all over the place. You know, on that one, they had the 5 defensive backs, and he lines up as a safety in that position, and he sneaked up, and he was just about in a linebacker position.
So it's 3rd down, Dallas now. They need 6 for a first. Here's Ronnie Lott.
You know, John Robinson, the coach at USC, told me that he may be the best that they've ever had there of the defensive backs.
That is really saying something when you think about the defensive backs they have had. Shotgun snap is low. White looking, still looking. He might have enough for a first down, and does. Lott forced him out of bounds again.
With the dive, you can see Lott come up and take off, and he really dives on this one. Now watch, the snap is a little low. It's Shaw's first game back. He says he tries to get that thing up to the belt. See, now White doesn't have a receiver open. He has good protection here, but the 49ers are in good coverage, so he finds an opening to the right. He knows where the down marker is. He gets that. Now watch Lott come flying up there to the outside to force him out of bounds, but Danny White had the first down.
Line of scrimmage now, the 22 perhaps. Washington and Chicago. The Redskins looking for their first victory, would appear to have it. Troubles in Chicago as Washington leads 24-0. One setback. That's a dangerous one. Number 33, Tony Dorsett. Pearson goes in motion. Out to through. He's going to throw. Wide open is Tony Hill. Dallas touchdown.
I'll tell you, whatever it takes, Pat, that's the second time that we've seen a wide receiver throw in this game. The 49ers did it once, and now they do it. Now watch here. We'll see the motion. We see come out here. Now watch White. He comes back like it's a screen out here. And we see Pearson stop. He's looking for Hill. He finds him in the end zone. He's deep for a touchdown. Ooh, that was a great catch. That's not a bad throw by a wide receiver. You know, they have a tough time getting that ball out there sometimes.
And don't forget, though, that Drew Pearson was a quarterback in college at Tulsa, as was Solomon at Tampa.
That's right. We used to have a tough time throwing those things when they wore stickum. We used to practice out all week and try and do it in the game. We couldn't throw it because they had stickum on.
Raphael Septien with Charlie Waters holding. And Dallas tightens things up just a bit in their first offensive moves of the day. 49ers, however, still lead 24-7 with 3:59 left in the first half.
Crosby's mother was trying to take a picture of us, and she couldn't get us in. She had this little camera, so she kept backing up.
That thing had to be a lateral in order for him to throw it, didn't it?
Yeah, right, yeah. You can't have 2 forward passes.
I'm not sure it was.
Yeah. Do we still have that, the touchdown as a replay?
You got it from the side? Because I'm not sure that wasn't an illegal play. That's pretty close.
It is very close. See, it has to be a lateral. It has to be behind.
You sure? You sure? Now watch where White throws it from. Here's the Dallas touchdown. What do you think, John?
Of course, it's very close because we know that there can't be 2 forward passes. This has to be a lateral to Drew Pearson. It has to be behind, and it's very, very close.
Pearson then, of course, went on to throw the touchdown pass to Tony Hill. And here's Septien to kick off. Heading deep. Amos Lawrence at the 2. Looking for room and finding some, and hit down by Steve Wilson. First man down for Dallas, just at the 20, just outside the 20. That's the Dallas scoring drive. That's a long way to go.
And that's what they had to do, is get that first one. Dallas is too much of a class organization and a class team to stay down. You can control them for a while, but eventually they're going to get their share.
They have too many guns. Next Sunday, CBS Sports will bring you Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, Cleveland, St. Louis, Atlanta. San Francisco 49ers will go to Green Bay. They can be dangerous, too. Washington at Miami, the Giants, Seattle. We'll be in Oakland with Tampa Bay. That's Ricky Patton. Michael Downs, the rookie free safety man, had to tackle him, but he still got 8. Patton had some time in Atlanta, had some time in Green Bay, and seems to have found himself, like so many, in San Francisco.
I think that'll be a good combination. What they'd like to do is use Ricky Patton on running downs and let him be their running halfback, and then have Paul Hofer come in and be their receiving halfback. It's a good combination.
Right now, Earl Cooper comes out, and Johnny Davis is the fullback. Tony Dickerson over on the Dallas bench.
Talking about Johnny Davis, that's their running fullback.
2nd and 2. Make it 2nd and 7. Too much time. That is the first penalty of this football game. Jim Tunney, who always does such a capable and very, very good job, signals that. 35-17.
5 yards, still 2nd down.
It was a battle of the left-handed quarterbacks, but that one left-handed quarterback had Earl Campbell back there with him.
The Houston club had been averaging only 12 first downs a game. They got a few more than that today, I bet.
Very few passes. I think a week ago they only threw like 5 or 6 passes. Look at this one. Whoa, Minnesota up 14-7. That'll change.
Since Tommy Kramer came back, Minnesota a different football team. Randy White. We'll have the 2-minute warning before too much longer. 2:46 left first half. Watch Randy.
Watch Randy White. He's up there. He's not the flex guy. See, he's making that quick move. They had him double teamed on that, Pat. He split the double team of Fred Quillen and John Ayers, went right between them and made the tackle. Who? What do they call him? Manster?
Right.
One of those things.
Half man, half monster. That's why he's still playing late in January most years.
That's a double dipper.
3rd down. 7. 49ers send Solomon in motion and Montana deep. Montana across the middle. Complete to Hofer, shy of a first down. Dallas starting to pick things up just a bit.
You can just feel it, and this is going to start to turn here a little. Look, there's Tony Hill now. He's throwing some passes. Geez, I wonder if that's Carano warming up or if he was just warming uphill.
Danny White had a sore wrist and a sore elbow after last week. That's the 2-minute warning. Miller, the barefoot punter, has entered the game for San Francisco, but he'll have to wait just a little bit. 24-7, the 49ers over Dallas, 2nd quarter.
Okay. It'd be the biggest test period.
Cowboy quarterbacks here have not been quite so successful, Brent. Danny White, 1 touchdown drive. Cowboys losing 24-7 to San Francisco. Miller about to punt. Oh, what a rocket this is. Fellows back at his 25. Drops it, picks it up. is almost knocked down and finally is swarmed on. Penalty marker down on the far side of the field. That'll be penalty number 2.
The 49ers are pointing that it's against Dallas, some kind of illegal block. They have a lot of things going now. They have the old-fashioned clip that we used to have, and they have blocking high above the waist and blocking below the waist from behind, illegal blocks. A lot of stuff, good stuff. They got good stuff here now. But it'll be some stuff against Dallas.
It's all boiled down to, John, once you get behind somebody, you can't touch them almost.
First down, Dallas.
What did he say?
I think he said it didn't count. I think he said that penalty, they call that inadvertent flag. They have words for that, too. And if the guy throws it down and it doesn't mean anything, he calls it inadvertent.
And there's no penalty for that.
Wait, now Jim Tunney's taking a timeout.
The Giants over St. Louis. Now 10-7, second quarter.
I tell you, Jim Tunney went up and he talked to his umpire, Pat Harder. Now, I'll guarantee you that's a pair. That's some kind of conversation. I had a lot of respect for those two guys. I really did. They're two special officials.
Well, now that's I consider that great praise.
Them's big words.
First and 10 for the Cowboys at their own 26. It's Danny White. And he's still operating from the shotgun, or is. The receiver was supposed to be Tony Hill, but he slipped down at the 40.
You know, there's really been a lot of slipping out there today, Pat. This field, of course, Candlestick Park is right next to the bay, and it's a little below sea level, and it really doesn't get dry. It's never dry, and it's a lot like Oakland. They used to accuse us of watering down the field and all that stuff. We never did that, but they have the same problem here that we have.
I know that Oakland's not dry, and I know that San Francisco's not dry. Second and 10 from the 26.
It made a good story, though.
Here comes the pass rush, and there goes White trying to get away from it. He throws up front to Dorsett. They got something going here. Cosby was up there in front of him, but Dallas got a first down in an unbelievable fashion.
Unbelievable. That was the old underhand throw. You know, great players make great plays when they need them. And I think we just saw an example there of Danny White and Tony Dorsett getting together on something that really shouldn't have happened.
Those of you who watched the Redskins defeat the Bears 24-7, welcome to Candlestick Park in San Francisco. That's our score, too, 24-7. We're still in the first half, though. San Francisco leading Dallas. Look at this last play. That's a great way to welcome you.
This is really something. It starts with a shotgun here. And again, we have two quarterbacks today who can move a little. There's Fred Dean, come from the outside. He flushes White out. Look, he threw that just backhand. He saw Dorsett coming. Dorsett knows where he has to. Look at that move. He knows where he has to go to get the first down, and he does.
You know, John, Danny White was a heck of a baseball player at one time, and that looked like he was just flipping it to the second baseman for the double play.
Like the old double play shot. Up with the ball, you flip it over there, and then he turns the double play. Was he a shortstop?
Shortstop or a second baseman. Whatever. Instead of the double play, he got a first down here. It's the first Dallas timeout. They have two left. San Francisco has all three of theirs.
You know, talking about quarterbacks, that Tommy Kramer at Minnesota is something. Anytime he gets in a game, he's capable of throwing 4 or 5 touchdown passes. And next week, when they play Philadelphia, that'll be an interesting game. It'll be a real test for the Eagles.
I know your team beat Minnesota and Bud Grant in the Super Bowl, but you have to have a lot of respect for him, too.
I sure do.
Danny White from the gun again. Down he goes. This time, he's not only in the grass, he's on the ground. Fred Dean led the rush.
Yeah, Fred Dean has only been here for 2 days. He's had 2 days of practice with the 49ers. These fans love him already. They'll know who Fred Dean is. I'll tell you, we played against him, and he is really a pain. Put Danny on the Dean's list. Well, he does here. Now watch, he'll come from Donovan, see, from the right of your screen. He'll come right there, see, oh, geez, he just knocked Donovan right back into the backfield and took on Danny White.
Lawrence Pillar's back there to help him out, and he can rush the passer. Fred Dean is 74. He looks like a pass rusher. And there he comes. Into the pack. Fred Dean just swirled back there.
I'll tell you, he did the first one with an outside move, then he changed up on Pat Donovan, and he took an inside move. We'll see if we can see it. Again, it'll be in the right of the screen. See, he's going to come inside now. Right there, we see number 74 coming. Board's coming right up. Boom, they double team White. I think the Cowboys had an illegal man downfield.
Board can play, and so can Dean.
That's one thing the 49ers haven't had in a long, long time is a pass rush.
Since Cedric Hardman, I guess.
Right?
Watch Dean. He gets that left arm down close to the ground, and he is ready to tee off. Right side of your picture. Look out, Donovan. Dean inside this time. He's like a rocket.
Oh. That's 3 in a row. Now, I don't know if the Cowboys are really ready for Fred Dean today. You know, that's one thing that they haven't seen him on film. Now watch here again. See, it's a cross. He's coming right up the middle. These two blockers. You know, one thing about Dean, he's not the biggest. He's only about 230 pounds, but he's really strong.
Coming up at halftime, Brent Musburger brings you all the highlights of the NFL action. Live from the sports desk in New York.
Good job down there, men, on that one. You should put that one together.
Oh, man, what a rush he put on men.
Good. I know it. I know it.
That's Shaw.
Yeah. Is it his knee? Can you tell what they're doing?
It looks like it, yeah.
You know, he was telling me last night he had a cartilage, and they don't do arthroscopes there in Dallas, and they're going to wait until after the season and operate on it.
Maybe not now. They'll probably bring Fitzgerald back now. Preceding message was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. That's Robert Shaw, who had a bad knee, had been hurt, had missed several games, being helped off now.
That's a shame to see this. He's really quite a guy. He was telling me last night he has a torn cartilage, and they were going to do surgery in the offseason. They don't use the arthroscope in that.
White punts, didn't get it all. Solomon moving, trying to get out, and trying to get Worshing in field goal range. Rafferty was the first man down. He's the guy who snapped the ball. There's Shaw.
It's only a 35-yard punt. You know, Danny White's not having a great day as a punter either.
Can't really think of anybody on the Dallas team right now that's having a great day. 14-14 Minnesota, San Diego.
There's a sad player right there. I know that he thought that he would be able to get through this game and through this season and have his knee taken care of in the offseason, and maybe he won't be able to do it.
Where are you? Where are you, John Fitzgerald? Here is Hofer with blockers in front, and Hofer knocked out of bounds by Michael Downs. Good looking sweep by the 49ers. Let's check the baseball situation. 5th inning, Montreal 2, Philadelphia nothing. 4th inning, Dodgers in Houston, nothing. Those are National League Divisional Championships, of course. 8 yards for Hofer, 2nd and 2. 49ers have, not sure how many timeouts left. Scoreboard says 3. We thought they had called one a minute ago. Pass complete over the middle of Hofer. Hofer knocked down by Wallace. And now the 49ers, after that first down, call timeout. 30 seconds on the scoreboard clock. San Francisco leading Dallas 24-7.
They'll take the timeout now. They've really had some additions that have improved this team. We're seeing a couple of them right here back to back. You know, they got Fred Dean. That gives them the pass rush. Dwayne Board is back, who was injured last year. And now we see on offense Paul Hofer really playing the first game today that he's played all year.
Speaking of great improvements, there's one right there, John. Number 16, Montana, they say. 49er people tell us that he doesn't really believe how good he is or how good he can be.
That's what Bill Walsh was saying. He said he knew it all along, and it just took a little time for Montana to know it. He said, but the two things he likes is, one, that he can move his feet, he has good quickness, and the other thing, he said, he's really been in the arena. You know, when you come from Notre Dame, you've been in a lot of big games, big crowds, and this is no new deal to him.
Did he say he came from a championship high school team as well?
I think so, yeah. Bill's very, he's interested in that, and it's very important to him. And he goes all the way back to how they did in high school and their records in college and all the way.
Montana has 3 wide receivers down. He puts Wilson in motion. He's looking in that direction. Got him. That might be close enough for Wersching now. 27-yard line. Mike Wilson, the receiver.
We'll see this again, and I think, one thing here, now watch the pass protection. We have a blitz coming and a stunt. Montana still has the time, and as Bill Walsh said, if we can get the time, we can work on this Dallas secondary, and they have really been getting the time all day.
That's Dennis Thurman who knocked Wilson out of bounds, and that's the key to the whole thing in Walsh's estimation, and they've made it work so far. Montana inside handoff. Hofer, and Hofer gets well within the field goal range on that trap. What a good call.
One thing that they wanted to do, and Bill was telling us this yesterday, he wants to run some in passing situations and pass some in running situations. He had the Cowboys playing pass on that one, and he just hit the trap right up the middle.
The charge by Randy White. They didn't even have to block him.
That's right, and they only have 1 timeout now, so I'm sure what they'll do is they'll throw the ball into the end zone because they want to save that 1 timeout for their field goal.
20 seconds left to play in the first half. 49ers leading Dallas by the score of 24-7. They led 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Dallas came back with an 86-yard touchdown drive, but the 49ers have control of this contest, no doubt about it. There's one of the great contributors, Paul Hofer. His team with 1 timeout remaining.
If there's anyone, he had a very serious knee operation last year. In fact, the doctor who did the surgery said it was one of the worst that he's ever seen. But Paul Hofer is that tough 110% type of guy, and everyone said if there's anyone that can come back off of that, it's Paul Hofer.
You think he'll put this into the end zone?
I sure do.
Montana. He sure was trying to. Looking to Solomon in the left-hand corner. Solomon well covered, and Montana just fired.
I think that's one that Dallas had in their computer, is when they get down there, they like to go to Solomon in the end zone, and Dallas had him double covered on that play, so I really think Montana just threw it away.
They have 15 seconds and 1 timeout remaining. Let's see who the running backs are. Cooper is one, and he's a fine receiver. Remember, he caught 83 passes last year. Dave Hofer's the other. Montana blitz on him. Penalty marker down. They're saying he threw it away.
He threw it away. There's Charlie Waters in there. It was a safety blitz. And again, that's one thing that they couldn't afford to do in that situation, is get a sack. Montana knew that, and he tried to throw it away.
But they're saying he intentionally grounded it now, and that might just take him out of field goal range.
It does. We see the blitz.
Grounding the ball.
So we see the blitz here. He's throwing it out there. There's no receiver out there. See, if there were any red shirt out there, they would have had a chance, but there was no red shirt, and that was the right call. You can't do that.
What is Art McNally's terminology? If you're trying to avoid the loss of yards, then you can't do that.
If you can understand Art McNally's terminology, Pat, you're a very, very special person.
I didn't say that.
Art McNally's a supervisor of officials, and he does a good job, but understanding his terminology is tough.
Third down, San Francisco. Montana gets to Hofer. They got some blockers out in front of this one. That might get him back in field goal range, and Hofer gets out of bounds. Walls knocks him there. Here comes Wersching. That is another good call.
That was. They knew what they had to do. They had that loss of yardage, and they wanted to recapture as much as they can. And, of course, this is well within Ray Wersching's range. You know, as we see Wershing warm up here, he's an interesting kicker. He doesn't look at the goalpost. He looks at the hash marks because they are an extension of the goalpost. He looks right down that field. He said those goalposts look too narrow. See, now he looks right down those hash marks.
This is 40 yards away. That'll get there. Hits the upright, no good. He had plenty of distance. Hit the upright and bounced away. That's the end of the first half. Wershing dejected at the moment. Maybe he should have looked at the goalpost, John. He didn't hit the hash marks. That's the end of the first half. The score, San Francisco 24, Dallas 7.
O.J., what do you think?
Well, I'm not surprised about the offense the 49ers are showing. Bill Walsh has always had a good offensive scheme, and Joe Montana has really improved. I'm surprised at how the 49ers defensive line is handling Dallas's offensive line.
Well, I think Eddie had something to do with that, didn't you? In the trades that you made and picking up Fred Dean. That has to be a great pick.
John, I think Fred Dean's been a great acquisition to the ball club, and our club's starting to reach maturity.
Well, how about, talking about acquisitions, how about Jack Reynolds? What has he done for your club?
Jack Reynolds is the key to what's happening right now so far today, because he's such a strong, real strong veteran that I think that he's helped the young kids on our team.
Well, you've done a great job. O.J., who's the best back in the NFL? One second.
Oh, that's a tough question. There's so many good ones around, but I think Mr. Campbell down in Houston is still the man.
Okay, thank you.
O.J. and Ed, thank you very much for stopping by. Good to see you. Continued success. If it stays like this, it'll be terrific, won't it? You hear me down there? And we also bailed George Heddleson out.
Can I get rid of this mic here? No, I know, but I just want to get rid of physically, I mean. What? Can you just get rid of this
Clutters up
someplace?
the whole place. Put it behind us somewhere. That is Hogaboom, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay. So much going. Who's playing?
49ers are kicking off to Dallas. Start the second half. This can be a big drive. I mean, this first, because the 49ers set the tempo in the first half.
You can tell which way the wind's going. You
can't. Hey, the wind goes like that. That doesn't mean anything. Usually.
If you happen to be a San Francisco 49er fan, and most of the folks are here, I'm sure, it has been well, I'm not sure about all of them. It's been a San Francisco first half. They'll kick off. Ray Wershing will to Dallas. Grounder. That's Newhouse. Name not mentioned for quite some time, and the house gets out to about the 32, where the Cowboys take over first and 10, trailing 24-7. Very important setup right here.
I think it is. You hate to say with with a whole half of football to play, but early in the game in the first half, the 49ers set the tempo, and the Cowboys didn't get it back. And I think it's important now for the Cowboys to come up and set the tempo for themselves.
It'll be basically the same offensive unit for Dallas that started the game, with the exception of Rafferty moving into center, and Peterson, the 65, the right guard. Danny White, the quarterback. Ron Springs set up behind him, and now Dorsett moves back too. Way back. White going ahead at the beginning, and Ronnie Lott's going to be called for pass interference And Dallas will move in San Francisco territory.
That's right, and he hit it. He put his hands on him right after the 5 yards, about 15 yards down the field. You see, we see here now. Once he's beyond 5 yards, he can't do that. That's wrong. Right there, you can bump him the first 5. After they get beyond 5 yards, you can't touch him.
That is another one of those things we've been talking about, John. That's you can't coach. It's instinct. Hard to tell a guy you can't hit somebody else when he gets close to you.
Especially a rookie coming out of college, because that was legal in college.
Number 42, 5 yards, first down.
First downs, 49ers 14, Dallas 6 first half. Total yards, 243 to 90.
And of course, that turnover thing is always big. The Cowboys have had 2 turnovers, and the 49ers none.
5-yard interference penalty downfield, so it's 1st and 10 Dallas. They operate from their own 37. Here comes Pearson in motion again. White. Load up the gun again. Oh, indeed, looking for Pearson. Almost had him. Bounced off him. That ball appeared to slip out of White's hand just a bit.
You know, Eric Wright, the right corner, was right there. Now watch him. The ball's over there. He's right there ready to catch it. He waited for it, though. He should have stepped up and gone for it, because he has as much right to the ball as the receiver does. It's like a volleyball deal down there.
Some interesting things that Bill Walsh had to say yesterday about the 49ers secondary. 3 rookies back there. Dwight Hicks with some experience, but not really a lot. 3 years.
But the one thing that they had in common is that they're all from big schools, and they're all from big schools that have won.
And once you get used to winning, it's a lot easier to know how to do it. 2nd and 10 for Dallas at their own 37. The handoff is to Dorsett, and Fred Dean, whom they've been unable to control so far, makes the tackle.
Now that looked like a foul-up, because that's not the way that Tony Dorsett runs that football. You know, although this is grass, it's not artificial turf, but we can see this again. Now watch Dorsett here. It's a little delay, but again, he just looks like he's looking for a place to fall down in there. Of course, there was nothing there. I mean, there wasn't any blocking.
Lawrence Pillars made a big play again as the 49ers now go with a 4-man front, which is what they wanted to do.
And Fred Dean is a right end. Let's see if they can get him blocked.
Shotgun. Donovan did a better job. That's Doug Donnelly. Not a first down.
Not a first down. Danny White is upset because he knows on 3rd down you want to get the ball up the field. He gets it to Donnelly. And of course, Donnelly had to dive for it, so he couldn't make any yards after he caught the ball.
And Donnelly, of course, a rookie. And perhaps someone might speak to him about running that pattern a little bit deeper next time around. White back to punt. Let's see if he does.
You like to get those receivers up beyond the first down marker.
White took a long time and finally fires a cannon. Freddie Solomon, fair catch. 49ers have the ball their own 20. Their first offense of the second half. And they still lead Dallas 24-7.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing that we ought to watch is a little Too Tall Jones and Fawnhurst. You know, we haven't heard his name much either. Yeah, that's right.
I've mentioned Too Tall's name once.
Yeah, well, we can, maybe one time one and then one time another. And then we should still get a 49er play calling thing, with the guy Benjamin there with the gold hat. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not since they carried him out, no.
So that would put then Rafferty back at center.
I did say that.
Yeah.
very bright head coach Bill Walsh of the San Francisco 49ers. Perhaps one of the great offensive minds in football. Here's Montana. He gives this time to Ricky Patton. Got a couple. Everson Walls came up.
I think one of the best things that Bill Walsh has done today is his game plan and his play calling. As we said at halftime, he's really kept this Cowboy defense off balance. Look at how they've improved over the years since Bill Walsh has come there in average points per game. 19, 20, 22.6, and I'm sure that this year will be higher than that.
He came in 79. Montana, the quarterback. Fakes. Now will throw. Has a man open. Earl Cooper springs away, and Cooper will have a 49er first down.
I'll tell you, D.D. Lewis is upset. He was right there on Cooper when Cooper caught the ball, and he made a little move, and he was able to get by him and get the first down. We'll see it again here. Montana starts off with a play pass. He's looking downfield. He has to come off. He gets Cooper. Now watch Lewis right there, misses a tackle, and then Earl Cooper can get the first down. Dallas Cowboy defense usually don't do those types of things.
Earl Cooper is bigger, really, than D.D. Lewis. And that's the kind of mismatch, other than other things you'd like to have.
He wasn't happy with himself.
Hofer and Johnny Davis now. That's Hofer. Nothing doing this time. The Cowboys stack it up, led by too tall Jones.
I think that this is, now watch this, it's a short yardage defense. You see, they all get down low. They all get down low. The 49ers don't get any movement. The Cowboys handle the line of scrimmage, and there's no chance for a first down. There's big too tall right on top of the pile.
John, I said a minute ago I thought Cooper had that first down. And then you start to see things develop, and he didn't. The 49ers, Jim Miller, back to punt. Good average today, 47.7. Cowboys going to return, and here's another fine punt. Ron Fellows can't field it again. He didn't touch it.
That was very close. No, they're saying that he didn't touch it, but that was very close to a touch. I'm sure that Ron Fellows knew what he was doing because, again, if he doesn't touch the ball, then it's the Cowboys' ball. If he touches the ball, then the 49ers can recover it. Now watch him. He looks like he's thinking about it. He's looking up. He misjudges it. He reaches out. It's like a hot potato. He says, I don't want to touch that thing. He didn't.
As always, some very tricky wins here in Candlestick. Fellows backed away.
Yeah, they did, yeah, that was a good shot, too. That was good on that replay there that you just had of that guy pulling his hands away there. Because I didn't see, I didn't see that. He thought it. He did. That wind did take that ball over the top.
This guy kicks the ball. He don't kick it all that far, but it looks like a funny-looking thing up there, doesn't it?
This place, typical Tony Dorsett type of game anywhere.
You think there's any truth to the things that we hear about him being better on artificial turf than on grass?
Well, I'm sure he is better on artificial turf, but 7 carries and only 8 yards. That's not Tony Dorsett or Dallas Cowboys.
That's not very good even in the parking lot. Pearson comes in motion. Dorsett gets another crack. His longest gain of the day. He got about 7. Willie Harper made the tackle.
That's one of the things that the Cowboys have been having trouble with today, Pat, is they haven't been successful on first down, and so they've always been in that 2nd and long and 3rd and long. And this looks like the first time that they really got the ball out where they have it down to work with.
Checking the National League Divisional Championships, Montreal now leading Philadelphia 3-0 in the 7th. Houston, Los Angeles still tied 0-0 in the 6th. Right to Spring. No first down, almost lost the football. It'll be 3rd and about 1 for Dallas. Stuckey, who's a player, made the tackle or led the charge.
The Cowboys are using a lot of counter stuff and delayed type runs, where it takes the back a little while to get to the line, and their offensive line isn't controlling the line of scrimmage. the 49ers are just sitting right there and waiting on the line of scrimmage.
It's a little less than 2 yards they need. They operate with 3 tight ends, including Jay Saldi as the flanker on the right side. Set up. There he comes in motion. Goes to the left side. Clark almost runs into his other blocker. Obviously a mix-up. Ron Springs, the ball carrier. Saldi almost collided with the offensive guard coming out.
Right, and Archie Reese penetrated. Watch him. He's a nose tackle there. See him coming right there. He got penetration right down the line, and he caught Springs in the backfield before he could get to the line of scrimmage. See, now watch Reese. You see him? See him, the nose tackle right there. He gets penetration again. You can't allow that on short yardage. But they did have a mix-up out there on the outside also. But they didn't block Archie Reese in the middle.
Rafferty, the center. For 11 is Danny White. Another good kick. White picks, lets it bounce. Cowboys down in good shape. Steve Wright, the first one there. And so the 49ers again control the Dallas offense and take over themselves at their own 21-yard line. 24-7 they lead. Didn't hear you. What? Okay. 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 '49ers have the football, their own 22-yard line, 1st and 10. They lead 24-7. Earl Cooper and Ricky Patton behind Joe Montana. He's had a good day. Will throw on 1st down, and does. Could be gone. Dwight Clark. That is all she wrote. Everson Walls had a shot at him, and once he got by him, good night.
Every team worries about Freddie Solomon and his speed, and Tom Landry knows. He told his team, watch out for Dwight Clark. He's not just one of those possession-type receivers. He can run. Now watch here. It's a 1st down, a little play pass. Fake to the left, throw out here. Now watch right here. Now Walls misses a tackle, and then it's just a sprint into the end zone, and we see Dwight Clark wins that sprint. He's a big guy, and he can also run.
He made a good move when he was almost cut off from the sideline to cut back to the middle of the field and get away from those guys. Bill Walsh got to be ecstatic about things going on right now as the Cowboys trailed San Francisco 31-7 in the 3rd quarter.
That's what Ernie Stottner told us last night. Remember, he said, that guy can run. Yeah, but I'll tell you, the thing is,
he's Clark.
You know, we got to get. Really, this 49er line is doing the best job I've ever seen him do. Ever. Because that was the thing. That's what he said. He said yesterday, we got to control that line. If we can do it, we can throw.
How long was that? 78? Let me see my briefcase. Would you hand me my briefcase? Hand me my briefcase. That's the other one. John Madden, Pat Summerall at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. Here is Clark again, Dwight Clark.
He's a happy guy on the sideline. Again, it's a first down pass. They really kept these Cowboys off balance. Walls misses the tackle. Dwight Clark sprints it all the way, 78 yards into the end zone. The one thing Bill Walsh said yesterday is he wanted to substitute Clark more because he said he can't take that pounding. It slows him down. He said he wants to keep him fresh. He's done that today, and that shows what the results of that are.
Clark's longest pass reception ever. That's Ron Fellows for Dallas.
Here we are in the third period, and the Cowboy offense, for all intent and purposes, still hasn't gotten on track. I'm sure that's what Danny White is saying now. You know, let's go get one. Come on, guys.
Operate from the 35-yard line. They send Butch Johnson out to the left and out to the right. Drew Pearson, 31-7 San Francisco. There it is to Dorsett. All kind of penalty markers down. This will be coming back very short. Dorsett at midfield, stopped by Eric Wright.
And I'll tell you who it was on. It's going to be a holding penalty on Pat Donovan, number 67, against the Cowboys. He held Fred Dean. Now watch, we'll see it. Watch it. Now there's Dean, number 74. See, he'll start the outside. Now he's going inside to take an inside move. Watch Donovan grab him with both hands. The referee was right on top of that play. I'll tell you, Fred Dean causes a lot of holding penalties.
Holding, 71, 10 yards.
I'm looking at the Dallas offensive setup down,
You know,
John, and they've replaced Donovan with Andy Frederick.
That was Andy Frederick. I'm sorry, that wasn't Donovan. Andy Frederick is in there at left tackle for Pat Donovan.
And now he has to look across the line of scrimmage at that Fred Dean, who's lined up in the track start again. Inside handoff Springs. They're trying to work on Dean a little bit. Out of bounds is Springs, trying to work on him to stop that pass rush.
Did you see that? He didn't go for it, though. They were waiting for him to take a pass rush up the field, and there's something, he knew that play was coming. He just sat there and waited on the line of scrimmage.
It's an awesome thing, John, when you stop and think that one man can dictate what it is your offense tries to do. In this case, 74, Fred Dean.
The other thing is the Cowboys really couldn't prepare for that because they hadn't seen him in film. You know, now next week it may be a little tougher. But I wonder if Pat Donovan was injured or if they've just put Andy Frederick in there to see if he can block Fred Dean.
We'll see. Dean goes up the middle. They do block him this time. The pass is picked off by Ronnie Lott. And that's all she wrote. Touchdown 49ers.
I'll tell you, you're talking about a couple people controlling and changing a defense. I think we're seeing that here today. You know, that's the fourth touchdown that the defense has scored in 3 games for the 49ers. It's a big difference in this team. Now watch Lott. He's playing a zone out there. Receiver falls down. He's right there ready for the ball. Ron Springs fell down. Lott was there waiting for it, and he takes it into the end zone. Little move there at the end. There's White. Boom, touchdown. Fumble, doesn't count. Once you get it across the goal line, it's a touchdown.
Ronnie Lott still got the ball.
49ers didn't have a holder out there. They had 10 guys out there and needed a holder. Worshing would have had a drop kick it.
That hadn't been done in a long time. Worshing with Montana holding. And good. 38-7. San Francisco over Dallas.
We saw Dean come up the middle. They double-teamed him that time. Springs fell down. Lott gets the ball all over.
We watched him.
Yeah.
Tell you what, he gets up quick, doesn't he?
Hey, can we find out? We ought to get, if Donovan was injured. Huh? Okay, we ought to have that.
By Dean?
We ought to get a shot of him, too. We ought to get a shot of him on the sideline.
Do it again, Lawton Hicks, and they have. There he is.
He's still getting the congratulations. He loves it. As he said, this is just like USC.
He deserves them. Wershing bounces it to Newhouse. 35. That's about it. Pat Donovan, we are told, got a finger in the eye, and that's why Andy Frederick is playing left tackle.
Andy Frederick is back in there at left tackle now, and he's probably saying, what a week to have to get in there.
The Giants over St. Louis in the third quarter, 20-7. They come back after that defeat. There's Pat Donovan.
That right eye. It looks like he has some ice on that right eye.
And right now we have a new Dallas quarterback, Glenn Carano, who replaces Danny White. Dorsett goes deep. Pitch back to Dorsett. Dorsett gets outside the 40 to about the 41. 8:22 still left to play in the third quarter. And the score is San Francisco 38, Dallas 7. Glenn Carano has not thrown a pass this year, but he will very shortly. Next Sunday, Philadelphia, Minnesota. That ought to be a honey. Philadelphia's still unbeaten. The only one without a defeat or a tie.
Minnesota can test you with that Tommy Kramer. Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White, they have some weapons.
Later that same day, we'll be back out on the West Coast in Oakland when the Buccaneers come out. See if they can shut out the Raiders again. I doubt it. Carano falls down, gets up, fire. That might be picked up. Barely not. Carlton Williamson. The pass was intended for Tony Hill. Williamson almost came up with the rebound.
Look at that. Who would have believed that? The total offense of 49ers have 330 yards, and the Cowboys only have 107. Whew. And 38-7. Who would have believed that?
I wouldn't have.
Carano doesn't look like he does.
His first pass of the year.
That was an auspicious start. There's Bill Walsh talking to Freddie Solomon. You know what they're talking about is a punt return, and it looks like they're having some problems on those punt returns with the sun. See, Bill's telling them how to look up.
The way they've scored today, he shouldn't have any problem looking up. Carano fires low. Intended for Drew Pearson. And the Cowboys will have to punt again. Here comes Danny White out to do that. Saladin Martin, the defender, number 29. Nothing doing against this San Francisco defense today. They look like it's going to be a cakewalk to the Super Bowl today.
Right, and they're getting a standing ovation here at Candlestick Park. I'll tell you one thing, this secondary has done a great job. You know, there's 3 rookies in there. Had they not, we would have said, geez, they're working on the rookies. But I think when the opposite happens, you also, we have to point that out. Geez, great coverage.
Super job. They've intercepted White twice. Another good kick from Kenny. Solomon looks back, fumbles, picks it up, almost dropped it again. Gets away from 1 or 2 and is down at the 11-yard line. Angelo King finally knocks him down. Dickerson was the first man down on coverage, and he's still down. Now he's up. 51.
That was an interesting thing. We had just seen Bill Walsh talking with Freddie Solomon, and that sun must be a problem out there for these punt returners because both sides have had problems with it today.
The sun and the wind. 49ers have had very, very few problems with the scoreboard today.
They haven't had any problem with the scoreboard.
Solomon comes out wide to the right. Johnny Davis straight ahead. Charlie Waters led the tackles. Don't forget that Dallas beat this team last year 59-14.
The 49ers look like they're intent on returning that favor. The other thing not to forget is with Atlanta losing, the Rams winning, if the 49ers win, they'll be tied for first place with the Rams. And there's a guy that has had a lot to do with it. You know, Jack Reynolds has meant an awful lot to this team. As Eddie DeBartolo was telling us halftime, he put intensity and toughness into this group.
It shows. Oh, wow. Randy White just decked Ricky Patton. There's a knock he won't forget.
That brought a little smile to Randy White's face. He's saying it's been a long day, and I'm going to get something. Now watch Randy White. See, they tried to trap him. Cross ran right by him, and you don't leave a Randy White unblocked.
Not without a few headaches.
You see that? He kind of liked that, though, didn't he,
yeah.
Randy White? You know, that's what he dresses up for, to get some of those bangs in there. Of course, you'd rather be ahead 38-7, but a hit's a hit.
Again, it's Bruce Thornton next to White on the right side of the Dallas defense as they show blitz right away. Loose is Dutton. Also loose is Dwight Clark again. San Francisco first down. Everson Walls had a long day today.
He sure did, and he didn't have a safety in there. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be Cowboys. Today, I guess mamas would like their babies to grow up to be 49ers. Tom Landry looks like he can't believe this.
I remember once before they were up in Minnesota and just got wiped out just like this. They went on to get into the Super Bowl.
You brought up that Thanksgiving thing, which is very interesting in the Dallas Cowboys.
We'll talk about that in a minute, John. It's first and 10, 49ers. Hand off Earl Cooper, chased by White. He gets away from White. It's 38-7, Candlestick Park. 49ers ahead. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York. And as John Madden was saying, Brent, just a minute ago, those Vikings, a very mysterious team. But they seem to be in the playoffs more often than not. There's Harvey Martin over on the sideline. He's got a Charlie horse. That's why he's not playing. Here's Montana looking for more. He's got some more. That's Clark. Another San Francisco first down. Up near midfield. Excuse me, John.
Excuse me. You know what the 49ers have done? Last year, they used to drive deep and then work underneath. This year, this game, they started going deep. You know, loosen up that Cowboy defense, and now they look like they can either go under, north, or deep. You know, again, now watch the pass protection here. We talked about this earlier, that they had to be able to control that front line, give Montana time to pass. I'd like to say they've done that all day, and that's one of the big reasons that they're ahead 38-7. They've offensively controlled the line of scrimmage.
And they have another first down. Solomon in motion. Montana gives to Hofer. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. Again, it's Randy White on the tackle. Helped by Bruce Thornton.
Look at all that stuff that you need to keep a team going. You keep them together. That's for the coach. That Maalox. See, now, if you're, a player, a fan, you use the regular stuff, but the Maalox Plus, that's for the coach. Plus what, I don't know, but you need the pluses.
I don't think Walsh will need any tonight. Tom Landry might. In just a few minutes, that's a great contest going on in San Diego, and we'll be switching many of you down to that game to pick up what's going on there. Right here, the 49ers in control. Walls almost had an interception, couldn't hang on, intended for Solomon.
Everson Walls has had a long day, but again, he has a form of a double here. You see, it's a man-to-man. He's playing him tight. Charlie Waters is coming over deep, so he can play underneath a little. He darn near had that one, and you see Charlie Waters in the background who is there to help him deep.
So it'll be third down and 10. Line of scrimmage between the 48 and 49 in 49er territory. Third down conversions. Look at this.
Dallas has had trouble all year with that.
Montana, the quarterback. 3rd and 10 from the 49. No throw. It's to Cooper. Cooper swirls inside, and nevertheless, San Francisco will have to punt. I mentioned a minute ago, a great game going on in San Diego, so many of you will be seeing that. You saw that score in San Diego here. Miller is back to punt. Candlestick Park, the score here 38-7. San Francisco over Dallas. The barefoot punter. Almost blocked, and again he gets off a dandy. Penalty marker down, and the 49ers will get the football back. They're down there quickly trying to knock it back. But it'll be a 49er first down as they run into the kicker.
Let's see if he smiled. Yep, he did smile. I was going to say, let's check and see if he smiled. He smiled, and he's getting congratulations. You know what he did? Most punters will do that. They'll punt, then they hold the leg up there in case there's anyone with any momentum going, they can draw the penalty. You always worry when that punter comes off the field smiling and taking congratulations and handshakes. You wonder, what are you congratulating him for getting rough for him?
Especially when he's just gotten off a great kick. That was a dandy.
That'll give the 49ers a first down here, and they'll get to continue to work against this Dallas defense.
There's Miller. Solomon on the right. Clark on the left. Pitch back to Cooper. Earl Cooper goes down. Dickerson makes the tackle. Dickerson, by the way, has replaced D.D. Lewis in the Dallas defense. Jones, Dutton, Guy Brown, Bethea, and Thornton on the right side as Randy White is now getting a rest. The Giants come roaring back. Lead St. Louis 27-7. That's a funny division all the way down except for the Eagles.
It's a great thing.
Excuse me, Pat.
The great thing about this NFL, you know, every Sunday you really never know who's going to win.
Montana under pressure finds Earl Cooper. Fumble. Bounce, picked up, and dropped. 49ers, I think, got it back. Oh, when it's going right, you got it right. Solomon makes the recovery. The Cowboys had a shot at it. But San Francisco keeps it. Freddie Solomon.
I think the Cowboys had a couple of shots at that one. The ball bounced right into one of the Cowboys, and he fumbled, and it still looked like they had another chance. Freddie Solomon's still down on the play. Now we'll watch it here again. They've really done a good job of pass protection. Montana can move a little. He hits Cooper. He has control of the ball. As he gets hit, it bounces out right there. He really didn't have control there. Oop, kick it a little, step on it, and Solomon ends up with it.
That was Bob Brunig who had the chance at it, and Solomon is still down. He is one of the clutch players. I'm not sure that's Solomon now. That's not. I'm sorry.
You know, Freddie Solomon really has added a lot to this team and a lot to himself. And, you know, Bill Walsh was talking yesterday about how much he's matured in the last 2 years.
That's not Solomon. There he is. But that's a key 49er who is down. That's Randy Cross. And he's one of the better offensive linemen you'll find anywhere.
You know, the coaches were saying yesterday that some of them feel that Randy Cross is the best football player on this 49er team.
You don't hear that often said about an offensive guard.
Who used to be a center.
That's why he wears 51. Solomon over and looking in, the real offensive center. Looking on, Quillen, number 56. Tonight on CBS, starts with 60 Minutes, followed by Archie Bunker's Place. Then it's the season premiere of One Day at a Time. And then you should stay tuned for Alice, followed by the Jeffersons and Trapper John, M.D. It's all tonight on CBS.
Old Alice. You know, Mel's one of my favorites. He's a great guy. He's a funny guy.
Mel should have been a linebacker.
Mel was a linebacker. Mel used to be a linebacker. He didn't wear a helmet, though. That's why he's a cook.
It shows.
Here's Randy Cross. He looks like he's okay. He's just shaking up a little bit.
It'll be third down San Francisco at the Dallas 41. 49ers leading 38-7. 45 seconds left, third quarter. Solomon goes in motion. Hand off to Amos Lawrence. And Lawrence breaking tackle, still on his feet. They never got him down. Another 49er first down. Tony Dickerson knocked him out of bounds. 49ers have 8 running backs.
Yeah, they have 8 running backs. And one of the reasons is because Paul Hofer was injured and they weren't sure. And Bill Walsh said if Paul Hofer can play, if he's okay, they may waive one of their running backs next week. But I don't think it'll be that guy, Amos Lawrence. That was a pretty nice run.
Not after that run.
I think they're still working on Randy Cross there. It may have been a cut above his eye.
National League Divisional Championships. Montreal 3-0 over Philadelphia tonight. Los Angeles 3-0. Johnny Davis fighting. Lions over Denver, 21-10. Denver 4-1 record going in. Detroit 2-3. Trying to stay close in the NFC Central. Into the third quarter here at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And the score is, I guess if you're just joining us in that sellout crowd, one of the most, it's hard to say unbelievable because the 49ers have played so well, but that's it.
You know, we didn't hear anything on that. We didn't get any countdown or anything, either one of us. Oh, okay.
It's been an unbelievable day with that, from that standpoint, hasn't it? Ha.
How many yards does he have?
It's going to be close between me and Madden this week, you know.
I think I may have lost another one. I don't even think it's close.
I don't know what it is.
You better give us Dorsett.
Pat Summerall with John Madden at Candlestick Park in San Francisco and a very jubilant bunch of San Francisco 49ers. Must be a neck problem. That there's a head behind that ice bag, and that belongs to Cross.
It's been a long day for Tom Landry, hasn't it? Look at that total offense, 398 yards for the 49ers.
High in San Diego, 24-24 is Montana. Looks to throw, has his tight end Charlie Young. He slips down or he might have scored again. Young with a 49er first down inside the 10 to about the 7.
Watch this again. They're still controlling the line of scrimmage. The 49ers are still doing the job of pass protection. Montana, there's Charlie Young. He's man-to-man on Charlie Waters. He gets a step on him. That's all it took.
Charlie Young has always had a great touch with those big hands of his. And he just showed you about that again. 38-7. San Francisco over Dallas. The 49ers moving for more gold. Amos Lawrence. breaking tackles and whirling down to the 5. They got him from San Diego.
They did. They've had 3 players from San Diego. They got Dan Audick first, who's their starting left tackle. They traded for Amos Lawrence, the second trade. And then, of course, the third one was Fred Dean. Look at the difference on the average yards per play. Dallas only 3 yards, San Francisco 6-4. That's a nice day's work.
Detroit and Denver having quite a contest. A mile above sea level. 27-21 there. 13:30 left here in San Francisco, and the 49ers moving toward the Dallas end zone. Lawrence twirls down to the 1. Johnny Davis with a great block out in front.
You know, again, this is why they got Johnny Davis, and it's why they got Amos Lawrence, too. You know, he'll be a runner here of the future for this team, but look at him hurdle and fight for that extra yardage.
Cowboy defense backed up to the end zone. The 49ers doing pretty much what they want to at the moment. Solomon is the flanker to the right. 49ers sellout crowd at Candlestick looking for more. Lawrence will get this one. He made it look like a walk in the park.
He did, and you see the first one there to congratulate him was number 62, Walt Downing. He was the right guard who pulled out and led the interference for him.
And again, give credit to the fullback, Johnny Davis. Another great block by him.
I'll tell you, that'll really add to this team. You know, the Johnny Davis, the blocking. Now watch, here we watch Davis. He's number 38. He gets the block there. Now watch 62 right out there. He gets the little block there. And then Amos Armstrong is to the outside.
It'll be Wershing. Montana holding, and Wershing putting on some more icing.
Here we go again. Now watch. Now there's Davis in there. He's following Walt down into the outside, and he walks in.
45-7. I didn't know.
I did.
Okay. You would figure we were going, but I didn't hear any count. So Montreal wins, right? And they're going to play the Dodgers, looks like.
What are the Dodgers winning?
Yeah, 3-0.
Oh, 3-0. I thought it was nothing.
All times. David, talk to me. Yeah, now I do.
Guys.
'49ers now in front of Dallas, 45-7. Line drive kickoff by Wershing. It's fumbled by Newsom. He picks it up out to the 10, to the 12, to the 13, and that's all she wrote. Milt McCall down to lead the tacklers for San Francisco.
You remember his dad, don't you? Big Bill McCall. He's a doctor now.
Sure do. Played against him many times when he was with the Bears. Let's check the baseball situation now. Montreal 3, Philadelphia 0. That's the final. Los Angeles leading Houston 3-0 in the 7th. So it looks like Montreal against the Dodgers if things stay as they are.
Could get a little cold up there in Montreal.
Last possible World Series date, I think, is like October the 28th or something like that. Could be nippy. Pitch back to James Jones. Dorsett gets a rest. Jones to about the 15, stopped by Dwayne Board.
This is what it looks like from Jones from behind here. We'll see it's the I formation. It's a sweep, a little pitch out there. And again, the 49ers have really played the run well. They've controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides. They've controlled it from their defense, and they've also controlled it from their offense. And there's no one that knows it better than Tom Landry.
Dallas has picked up 56 yards only on the ground, in the air. I'm sorry. San Francisco almost 300. White. Arano, the quarterback. Gonna throw. Looking. Zips it through the hands of Billy Joe Dupree. Arano again under pressure from Fred Dean.
You know, Joe Montana has never had a 300-yard day in his career. He has 299 yards, and I don't think he'll get to 300 yards now because down in the sideline, Guy Benjamin is warming up, and I'm sure we've seen the last of Joe Montana.
I don't think, John, really the 300 yards are important. It's the scoreboard. Montana's had a great day.
That's right, and that's enough. And the worst thing is to have that, that big a lead and then get an injury. And there's Guy Benjamin warming up, and he's getting ready to go.
Third down, Dallas. They need 9. Yeah. Operating from their 15. Out of the shotgun is Toronto. Looking and hoping and nothing doing. And the 49ers almost picked it off again. And Toronto under the rush once more of number 74, Fred Dean.
Fred Dean. You talk about a player who can come in and in 2 days practice and dominate a football game. This number 74 is one of those players.
Wow. I saw Alan Page in a game against Detroit up in Minnesota one time when he was still there. Dominate something like this, but other than that, I can't remember seeing it done.
I don't know what the 49ers gave Fred Dean for a contract, but they're getting their money's worth today.
I don't know what they gave him for breakfast. Good punt by White. Handled by Hicks. And he's taken down by Benny Barnes. 11:40 left to play at Candlestick. Already some of the crowd, which was a sellout, starting to depart. 49ers leading 45-7. What a display they put on today. Total control. I think I've heard that said. Yeah. I just looked it up. We mentioned that. 48-7 by Cleveland, and the other one by Minnesota. That was a shutout. Yeah.
Hey, do you have anything on how John Jefferson did today? Yeah, see if you can get that, because we can make a thing there with the Dean. Now he's helped this team, and maybe Jefferson did Green Bay.
I haven't seen a Green Bay score.
No, I haven't either.
Green Bay? Green Bay.
Oh, that's right.
Guy Benjamin is the quarterback. He has not thrown a pass this year. So let's see how he operates now. Walt Easley and Amos Lawrence, the runners. Not much doing that time by Easley.
The horses are ready to go. You know, they run the horses out after the game to control the crowd so they don't come out on the field. They're ready.
Now Montana next to Walsh, and he will send and signal in the plays to Guy Benjamin.
I like that idea. You know, Bill Walsh does it. He calls the plays, of course, and he gives them to the quarterback that's not playing, and he said that keeps him in the game. I think that's a good idea. Guy Benjamin came close to missing a handoff then.
Again, he looks to the sideline to Montana, who's standing next to Walsh. He got it.
He says, that's a good one. I still haven't thrown a pass this year. Maybe this is a pass.
Walsh said they threw 6 times in the second half against Washington, 4 times against New Orleans. It all depends on the situation. If you don't have to do it, you don't do it. Guy Benjamin, who played for Walsh in college, will put up his first throw of the year. Off the hands of Amos Lawrence. Anthony Dickerson on the coverage, and we'll watch Miller, the barefoot punter, again.
You know, Bill Walsh told us an interesting thing yesterday. He said if he throws 25 passes today, he said that'll be good. They'll win. He says if they throw 35, they'll be in trouble. I wonder how many they've thrown today.
I think we're just about on his game plan.
About 25?
Yeah. Montana's thrown 27. And that was the first one by Benjamin. Here's Miller. Oh, does he ever hit this one? That's out of the top of the stadium and out of the end zone. Miller just punted out of the Dallas end zone. San Francisco 45, Dallas 7. Yeah. Oh, Cal, we wind up looking like idiots, you know that? Yeah, I know.
Well, and another dinner. Another day, another dinner.
No, we haven't settled that.
We have to negotiate that.
That's the next bit.
No, that's no problem.
The NFL's leading rusher may not be leading anymore after this San Francisco defense has controlled him today. They lead Dallas 45-7 at Candlestick Park. Cowboys have been on the ropes all day. The 49ers do know how to close in. Handoff Jones, and James Jones bangs into the secondary. First down. That's Dallas' longest run of the day. Saladin Martin stopped Jones.
You know, the 49ers are in their nickel defense or their pass defense. They have the 4 linemen in there and the 5 defensive backs, and they were playing pass, and the Cowboys were able to get good yardage in there.
49ers had been hoping they could play that 4-man front more often. Now they're able to. 5 defensive backs. They're going to stay in a nickel from now on. Here's Toronto. Again running for his life. That's James Jones with some blockers. Good yardage. Put a penalty marker down. Probably clipping. There's a big game underway in San Diego where the Vikings are playing the Chargers. I think many of you will be interested in joining that contest. Viewers in San Francisco and Dallas will remain here for the conclusion of this game. (31-24) it is in San Diego, with the Chargers leading the Vikings. Glenn Carano, number 18, seeing his first extensive action of this year, replacing Danny White. 9:22 left to play. And 49ers leading the Cowboys 45-7.
Illegal block in the back, above the waist, number 64, 10 yards, still first down.
See, that's one of those new deals they have. Illegal block in the back, above the waist. You got a whole package of that stuff.
Donnelly comes out to the right. Bruce Pearson out to the left. Newhouse now the fullback. Toronto fakes to him. Doug Cosby gets the Dallas first down. It is not Drew Pearson at wide receiver. It's Tony Hill. Carlton Williamson made the tackle. See what happened to Fred Dean last time around.
Now watch this. He starts to the inside. See, it's a stunt. Frederick is right there waiting for him. They're double teamed. They have Newhouse in there. They keep blocking him. Fred Dean keeps throwing arms. They have 2 on him now.
Fred Dean's not that big, John.
No, he's not. You know, he's only 230 pounds or 235 pounds, but he is unbelievably strong. I know Art Shell used to tell me he only weighs 230 pounds, but don't tell me he's not strong.
And he is quick to go with it. Morano on second. Gives it out to Jones. He almost lost his head. They say that was a lateral.
That'll be the 49ers ball.
Keena Turner down to make the play. And the 49ers have it.
Again, the rule here is if he throws it forward, it would be an incomplete pass. If he throws the ball either parallel or backwards, then it's a lateral, and it's a live ball that the 49ers can pick up, which they do.
So the Niners with more to do.
Now watch Dean here. He's going against Andy Frederick, number 71. He throws him to the ground. I'll tell you, he is strong. Now there was a picture of his strength.
So it's a first down, San Francisco. They're at the Dallas 15. Benjamin looking for more. Looking for Wilson. Overthrown. Let's go for an update. This one's hard to keep track of, Brent, but let's go back to New York to you. '49ers 45, Dallas 7. The Niners going for more. Lawrence drops it, picks it back up, drops it again. Dallas picks it up. Benny Barnes has it, and Benny's off to the races. It looked like it'd be more than 45-7. Now it's going to be 45-14. That might be presumptuous. Septian has not kicked the extra point as yet, but Dallas, with 8:07 left to play, has just scored on that fumble recovery by Benny Barnes.
Benny Barnes is happy on that, and Bill Walsh is upset on the sideline because even though you had the big lead, you don't like to see sloppy things happen like this. The fumble, a bad handoff, Benny Barnes picks it up. No one is close to catching him. Go Benny. Got it.
Dennis Thurman trotting along behind. Charlie Waters will hold for Raphael Septien. 45-13 the score at Candlestick. Septien hasn't missed an extra point all year. Waters down. Good hold, good kick. 8:07 left to play here. And the 49ers just have overpowered Dallas today. There's no other way to say it. They lead 45-14.
Now, we mentioned his performance, but we didn't mention that. What happened on that last update? You said to go to New York, and we got
we got Minnesota, San Diego.
Jesus.
What is going on today?
We had Fred Dreyer talking.
Yeah, we got Fred Dreyer talking about a San Diego game, and we throw it to New York. Amos Lawrence back deep for the 49ers with Mike Wilson. Raphael Septien will kick off. 49ers suspecting maybe an onside kick. I suspect they might be right. The ball's not willing, though, as it falls off the tee. An interesting conversation with Septien last night, didn't you?
It was interesting. I made a reference last week that the kickers are a little different than refs because they spend a lot of time alone, and He said that, that I shouldn't have said that. It upset his wife, and I didn't say that to upset his wife. But he has 2 mouthpieces with him, and one he wears it that straightens his jaw and then relaxes him and helps his groin and helps his kicking.
FDN, after the ball finally does stay on the tee, kicks it to Amos Lawrence. He'll down it in the end zone. Just stay there. Wise choice.
I'll tell you, Septien is a great guy, though. I really enjoy him. He always has something to say, and he's a fine kicker.
CBS Sports.
CBS Sports is everywhere, isn't it?
I've been trying for 20 years to get one of those hats, John.
Well, they only have one. There's only one CBS Sports hat, and it's just passed around the country, and it just happens to be here, but it's down on the bench today.
Montreal 3-0. That's the final. Dodgers over Houston 4-0 in the 8th. Cowboys defense now sort of digging in. Walt Easley was the ball carrier. 49ers sort of saying, no way for you guys now.
Well, I think they want to, slow the pace down as much as they can, take the full 30 seconds and really get the game over with. And probably on the Dallas sideline, they're probably agreeing with it.
2nd and 9 for the 21 for the 49ers. They lead 45-14. Guy Benjamin drops to throw. The blitz is on. He's chased. He gets away from one. And Ed Jones almost puts on a 49er uniform. All the way back to the 7-yard line. The 49ers, led now by Guy Benjamin, will have to operate.
Maybe the 49ers didn't want to really slow it down. The Dallas Cowboys come on a blitz. They have Benjamin there. He gets away from the first one, but he doesn't get away from Too Tall. Too Tall was out there waiting for him.
Too Tall was too long that time.
Too long and too wide. He was outside and he had him contained. Too long, too tall, too wide. Too much.
7 minutes left to play.
Too late.
Yes. 3rd and 23 for the 49ers. Benjamin looking over things now. And they take too much time. They'll walk it back half the distance to the goal line, and I suppose they can use the same play. Looked like he was going to throw.
Looks like he was. This is one thing that, they'd like to see Guy Benjamin come in and get a little something going because...
Half the distance, delay, still 3rd down.
I'm sorry, Jim. But, because he's their only backup they have.
Over on the San Francisco bench. A few problems here and there.
Well, that's Paul Hofer, and I bet that's just a preventive thing. He's had that bad knee, and the first thing you want to do after a contest is get ice to keep any swelling down that may come up, because he has an ice pack on his knee but a smile on his face, and that usually means everything's okay.
And that was Jack Reynolds standing next to him, and he has a smile on his face. Although in this case, he knows Henry Sure. Benjamin throws high. Dennis Thurman, the defender, no penalty. We'll try to block it now. Inside, maybe not. Jones does make a clean catch. Slips one. Slips a couple. No place to go now. 49ers do a good job.
Well, one thing they wanted to do a better job on, they had a lot of problems with their punt coverage last week. Of course, they had Mike Nelms, who's one of the best returners in the league. How did Jim Miller start to punt barefooted?
They say he just started back in Mississippi. Didn't have anybody to play with. That's what he did.
And he didn't have any shoes.
Among other things.
Mother said he was fascinated with kicking things, and I guess he used to kick everything. He'd kick the footballs and the basketballs, and he'd kick volleyballs, and just he didn't have anyone to play with, and he'd just kick them to himself. James Jones, who takes it out from the I formation off to the outside. Fred Dean makes the tackle. I'll tell you, Fred Dean has really been in there on everything today. because he only weighs 230 pounds, we always thought, well, he's a great pass rusher, but you ought to be able to run on him. And I'll guarantee you, he plays the run as well as he rushes the passer. 2nd down and 9.
Toronto with good time this time. Doug Donnelly and Fred Dean back again.
But, one of the interesting things, now watch Dean again, number 74. He's really been a headache. That's the 3rd tackle that has tried to block him today. They've changed, of course. Donovan started the game, and he had some problems with Dean. He also got hit in the eye, and then they went to Andy Frederick, and now they have Steve Wright in there playing left tackle.
Steve Wright, the rookie, working against number 74 now, Fred Dean. Newhouse and James Jones, the runners. Here's Toronto looking and throwing. Almost picked off nearly by 2 49ers. Carlton Williamson and Saladin Martin.
One thing about this whole game is that the 49ers always seem to have a lot of defenders around the ball today. You watch this, now watch, there's 1 receiver, and there's 2 defenders, 3 defenders, and there's a 4th right outside. They've really done a good job of covering the Dallas Cowboy receiver.
If you've ever seen in as long as you've been covering football, a game plan, a scheme that's worked as well as this one, look at that total offense. The 49ers have really dominated. Here's Toronto. Here comes Dean. Got the screen pass called, intended for Newhouse. Penalty marker down as they were holding Fred Dean, I think.
I'm sure that's who they're going to call it on. It'll be on Steve Wright. He looked like he grabbed him right at the end, and I'm sure it is. It's against the Cowboys, and I'm sure it'll be against number 73, Steve Wright, the rookie tackle. What a way to break into this National Football League.
And against that guy. Boy, what a deal.
Jim Tunney marches off the 10 yards. Now he's going to tell us who it's on. 73,
Holding.
Jim?
73, 10 yards. Still 2nd down.
There's Fred Dean, number 74, and we'll see Steve Wright is blocking him here. Now see the hand up there, he grabbed the face mask.
They could have called a couple of things.
I know it, they had 2 or 3.
Line of scrimmage moves back now to the 34. 2nd down, Dallas. 45-14, San Francisco. Shotgun. Different center now for Dallas as well. Titans are. Intended for Tony Hill, bounced up and knocked up in the air by Saladin Martin.
One of the interesting things, we're talking about Fred Dean, and of course to get him in the game, they go to a 4-man line, which means that they take Jack Reynolds out.
Which he doesn't like. 60 minutes in all subsequent programming will be seen in its entirety following the conclusion of football, except here on the West Coast, where programs will be seen at their regularly scheduled time.
See, here in the West Coast, we don't get 60 minutes until 7 o'clock. So you can go to the game and then still go home and watch 60 minutes.
Which I'm sure you do. 3rd down. Toronto fumbles, juggles, looks, runs, got some time, throws. Newhouse. The house down the sideline. Newhouse inside the 15 to about the 14. Looks like enough for a Dallas 1st down. Bobby Leopold made the tackle. 17-yard pickup.
This is one of the first times I remember Newhouse. Now watch, let's check in on Dean again and see how Steve Wright's doing. Look, it's the same thing. He still has that same move. You go out and you grab his face mask. He had a little help from Titanosaur on that play.
That's a very effective way to block, I think.
Well, you can do anything. It's every man for himself out there. You're on an island, but, especially when you're the left tackle and you're the weak side or open side with no tight end. That's tough.
1st down, Cowboys. Jones down to about the 5 as the Cowboys struggle to get on the scoreboard. Getting back into the game, I suppose, is ridiculous. 3:42 left, 3:40 now. Line of scrimmage will be near the 5. 49ers have a man shaken. There he gets up, Ronnie Lott. Niners come in with a backup bunch.
Well, I think they're going back to the 3-man line now. You know, they've been using the 4-man line, which is, in essence, is their pass defense, and now they've put Jack Reynolds back in and Archie Reese, and they've finally taken Fred Dean out. They said, good job. You've done a good day's work.
Super job for Fred Dean. The 2nd and 3 at the 6. And the scoreboard clock has 3:20 left on it.
You see Fred Dean on the sideline. Probably the happiest person in this stadium right now is Steve Wright.
That he's on the sideline.
Yeah, the Dean's on the sideline. He said, I know Dwayne Board is tough, but after looking at that Fred Dean, anything would be nice.
Fred Dean had 3 sacks and a lot of hurries. And a lot of Dallas offensive linemen will be glad that he's not around again. Not this year, at least. It's Harvey Martin, who has, we reported earlier, Charlie horse.
Probably wish that he would have been around today. You know, it's tough to come out there and stand on the sideline and watch a game, and especially when something like this happens to you.
There is the hacksaw, Mr. Reynolds, building a home in the Bahamas.
And he had to come here to play the season, of course, and he left his wife there to build a home, so she's doing it now. He'll take credit for it, though.
You said how much research he'd done.
Yeah. I know how to do that. You start a house and say, I have to go play football, honey. You handle it. And she only has half a car.
The other half he cut off. Dorsett had not a very punishing day, certainly. 21 yards, his poorest day since the first game in the NFL that he played. He didn't start for a while that first year. Just came in late.
I think that first game he had 11 yards.
I think that's right. In Pittsburgh.
He's been great since.
Salve swings over to the left side. 2nd down, Cowboys. Now Salve comes back. Cowboys give to Jones. Penalty marker goes down. Too long they took. Now they do
delay.
Hand fighting.
30 seconds.
You know, that's the one penalty that I think the Dallas Cowboys lead the league in, and that's one thing that they want to get rid of. I mean, they're way behind now, but they still don't want that.
Remind you again that 60 Minutes comes up following football. And all the subsequent programs will be seen in their entirety.
30-second delay, 5 yards.
On the West Coast.
Where you hold the field clock 3 seconds.
Where you will see 60 minutes.
3:21 on the field clock.
It's regular time. Very dejected and wondering, I'm sure, what happened. Randy White. Never got going today.
I'm sure he gave everything that he had, but one thing, you know, the 49ers felt that they had to handle him and not let him get in that quarterback, and I think they did a pretty good job of it.
James Jones, the lone setback on 2nd down. Tony Hill in motion. Toronto will throw. Real quick. Intended for Ron Springs, I believe. I don't think he ever saw it coming. Pass was a good pass, right on the money. Springs looked like he didn't pick it up.
No, Carlton Williamson was inside. He looked like he had the post. He looked like he was inside waiting for Springs to come to the post. Uh-oh, here comes Dean back, and Steve Wright saying, oh, no, not again. I thought that was over.
3rd down, Dallas. Just outside the 10. 45-14. Here comes Reynolds out. Toronto 3 out of 10 for 53 yards. Will operate this time under the center, no shotguns. 49ers, that 4-man front. Right out there with Dean. The throw is incomplete. Collision in the end zone was not called. Doug Cosby collided with somebody. Saladin Martin, I think he was the principal defender. Billy Joe Dupree talking to Landry. Final score, the Giants roaring. 34-14, they beat the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals looked so good last week against the Cowboys. Like I said, you just can't tell in the National Football League, and that's a great thing about it. I wonder if Billy Joe Dupree came in here and brought his own play in. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw the ball to him.
It looked like he was the principal conversation member in that huddle. Billy Joe Dupree is lined up tight to the right. Wide left, Tony Hill and Doug Donnelly. 3:13 left to play. The Cowboys take a timeout. They have one left next Sunday. Big matchup between Philadelphia and Minnesota up in Minnesota. Philadelphia still unbeaten. New Orleans, Cleveland. St. Louis will be at Atlanta. Falcons lost that heartbreaker to the Rams today. We will be back here in Oakland for the Buccaneers against the Raiders. The Giants in Seattle, Washington down in Miami. Raiders shut out 3 consecutive weeks.
What a weekend of football that is next week. You know, and again, the great thing is you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you know, we would have said last week the 49ers are going to score 45 points and beat Dallas 45-14. Who would believe that?
Who knows what's going to happen when Philadelphia goes to Minnesota? Strange things have happened up there, too.
Especially when you get 2 quarterbacks like that. You know, that Philadelphia is getting close to being a machine, but Tommy Kramer up there, he can make things happen.
You know, they played in the playoffs last year. And Philadelphia had a tough time with the Vikings. They just don't look like they should be that good, do they?
I'll tell you, Bud Grant does amazing things. And this guy on the sideline over there, that Tom Landry, there's another amazing one.
James Jones, the lone setback. In motion is Tony Hill. Morano looking, hoping, throwing high. Over the head of Ron Springs and the 49ers. They're going to get their share of revenge for last year's defeat by Dallas when they suffered 10 turnovers. And the Cowboys beat them 59-14. What a way to get even. 45-14.
I'll tell you, I know they're going to feel real good about this one because although they had 3 victories, they'd been against losing teams, and they said they hadn't played anyone yet. Well, today they did play someone.
And today they beat someone and beat them convincingly.
Now that coming up, that's 60 minutes following football, except here on the West Coast where it starts at 7 o'clock.
It's regular time. Banging straight ahead, Johnny Davis. No, Walt Easley. Down. Start shaking hands and say we'll see you later. Clock going. Ronnie Lott, who had a great day. Scored 1 touchdown, made some superb defensive plays. One of the 3 rookies in the San Francisco secondary. And boy, do they play well.
You know, it was an interesting thing. He was talking the other day, and he says that he gives a lot of credit to Jack Reynolds. He said Jack Reynolds sat down with him once and just told him what defense in the NFL is.
49ers just barely get it off. Nothing doing. Easley again the ball carrier.
This should get us down to the 2-minute warning. I'm sure they'll just stand in the huddle and wait until they blow a whistle and say, 2 minutes, guys.
5 seconds now and just a second away from that. Dallas defense still got to finish the game, don't you? (45-14) San Francisco over Dallas. The 49ers, very impressive.
Even in Dallas, you mean? Yeah, but we're still there. I mean,
okay. Yeah. What is the score in that game? Yeah. Okay.
What did they do? Miss an extra? Oh,
jeez. That is a dandy in San Diego, isn't it? 31-30. Minnesota's just missed an extra point, so the Chargers still lead by 1.
All that work and they miss an extra point. Look at this. We're still playing football here. Watch the game.
Some of us. Third down for the 49ers. Pitches back to Easley. Easley bangs for another 49er first down before Tony Dickerson brings him down. Final score. The Dodgers beat Houston 4-0. And Montreal beat Philadelphia 3-0.
You know that Walt Easley, who's carrying the ball, is a cousin of Ken Easley, who was a #1 draft choice to the Seattle Seahawks.
Been a happy day for the folks in red, and a very unhappy day for those people, the ones in white.
I'll tell you, they'll start to think a little about themselves because, you know, this isn't the first time. They really haven't been happy with their performance for 3 weeks.
That is Amos Lawrence swinging to the outside the 30, stopped by Bruce Thornton. There's Fred Dean, speaking of being happy.
He's going to say something. He says, dude, I like this place, San Francisco. I'm getting paid a little more money. This is kind of fun.
I'm sure they're pretty happy as well. One of the 49ers hurt. I think it's Amos Lawrence. Executive producer of NFL football is Terry O'Neill. Senior producer, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game produced by Mike Burtz and directed by Sandy Grossman. '49er coming off is Amos Lawrence, rookie from North Carolina who had so many great years at that school. Yards passing, Dallas 83, San Francisco, yards rushing, I'm sorry, 139. And the yards passing for the 49ers, 304 against Dallas, 109. Less than 200 yards for the Cowboys and almost 450 for San Francisco.
There's an amazing team, that Denver Broncos team. They won again.
Dan Reeves did a great job. Look at Easley banging out for that first down again. Clock now will run as they move the first down markers.
And the 49ers will have to run one more play, and then that should be it.
Ought to be. 49ers will improve their record, so it still equals that of the Los Angeles Rams. They'll be 4-2. Rams 4-2 after today's victory over Atlanta. The Cowboys will be 4-2 and falling one more step behind Philadelphia. Atlanta's 3-3.
That was Randy Cross there congratulating Fred Dean. It was good to see that Randy Cross is okay.
He had, they said, a mild concussion. That ought to do it. Bill Walsh has to be ecstatic about his team's performance today.
Yesterday he said he felt that they could do it. You know, he felt that maybe for the first time they could match up against the Dallas Cowboys.
Indeed they did. They overmatched them.
He was right. Very prophetic.
40. Excuse me, John. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that guy Fred Dean sure had a day.
45-14 the score at Candlestick. Right now, let's go to the game in San Diego.
Thank you.